Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching first part of What If Naruto Was Neglected by Jiraiya During 3 years training trip. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Screw you, kid. How many times do I have to tell you this? You need to learn the basics before I teach you anything else. Jiraiya yelled at Naruto, who was already giving him the finger. Basics? The basics you want me to learn, I did already. Besides, they involve someone with genin level chakra. I have more chakra in my body than most Kages. And that's without Kyuubi in my gut, said Naruto, and Jiraiya waved him off. When Jiraiya looked at Naruto with disappointment in his eyes, he said, "Bah. Excuses. 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 You make more excuses than shadow clones. Besides, the Kyuubi's power is more important to learn at this point. Something you have been failing to do. I have been trying. It fucking hurts. We have been at this for a year and a half, Arrow Sennin. And all you have done is tell me to draw on the fox's power. You don't say how. You just bark out a command and expect me to do it. I'm not some Kami damned pet," said Naruto with Jiraiya scowling more. So what if it hurts? It's called pain. Get used to it. You think Orochimaru is out there in one of his bases coddling Sasuke right now? No. He's putting him through the ringer to get him to become the strongest host possible to take over in another year and a half from now, Jiraiya said as Naruto's eyes widened. At least Orochimaru is teaching Sasuke. All you do all day is look at women, drink too much at bars, and go to brothels to fuck a woman with more STDs than a shinobi village has shinobi. And you do it with my money, you fucking leech. Naruto spoke back. Jiraiya was getting more and more angry at the accusation. Even if it were true. How I spend my day when I'm not teaching a worthless student like you is my business, brat. Besides, consider you paying for my leisure time the cost of learning under such a great shinobi like me, Jiraiya replied smugly. You were supposed to teach and train me to be a strong shinobi. You haven't done any of that since we started. How are you going to explain this to Granny when we get back in the next year and a half? Questioned Naruto while Jiraiya sighed. I'll tell her what I feel is true. You suck as an apprentice and it was a waste of time in the 3 years out of the village to train you. Which so far, I have been proven right about. Jiraiya said while Naruto roared. It's called putting effort into training your student, you lazy son of a bitch. Not giving that student hard material he can't understand so he can go peep on women and write your fucking smut. Naruto yelled, making Jiraiya more and more angry. It's called learn by doing, brat. I'm not going to hold your hand every single day. I'm not going to be around to help you learn this. You want to be strong? Stronger than Sasuke in the next year and a half? It's called doing it yourself. It's called stop being a failure and to stop being a fucking baby when things don't go your way. Jiraiya replied to the boy while Naruto looked angry at what he said. Jiraiya's eyes went from wide to angry and red as Naruto spoke. You don't do anything. How the Yondaime Hokage learned from you is a miracle right now. Hell, he'd probably still be alive right now if Orochimaru had been his sensei all those years ago. At that very moment, Jiraiya hit Naruto really hard. He kept going. He hit Naruto over and over again, giving the boy no time to block, counter, or say anything that would have stopped Jiraiya. He was looking up at a bloody Naruto who was barely breathing. You little brat. How dare you say that to me? I trained the greatest Hokage to ever take the mantle since the Shoden himself. And you insult my legacy by saying he would have been better off with Orochimaru as his sensei? Jiraiya asked. The angry, defiant blue eyes that looked like they were saying, you fucking bet I do, made Jiraiya even angrier. You are a failure for a student. A mistake. When this is over, I'm requesting you be put into the shinobi reserves and confined into the village. With my words against yours, I know Tsunade will side with me on this. So enjoy your time outside of Konoha, brat. This will most likely be the last time you have it. And before you think of running out on me for other places, don't forget the Akatsuki is after to you. I'm the only protection you have right now against them. And even without them being a factor, I would track you down myself to bring back to Konoha to be imprisoned for desertion, said Jiraiya sincerely before giving the brat one more last punch to the body. The Sannin ran away savor his pleasures, and forget Naruto's. Also, the thought of Minato frowning at him or Kushina being mad at what he did to their son. Bah. His needs were to sleep with a hot woman and get drunk to get rid of them. Skip ahead in time. Later. Naruto's physical wounds wouldn't get better for hours, but the mental ones were still there deep inside. Naruto did not like Jiraiya at this time. Didn't like how the Sannin called them a failure. His threatening words. He would tell Tsunade about his suggestion to put him in the Genin reserves. It was rude. It would be a shame for any shinobi to be put there. Nobody who is a shinobi worth their salt would be caught dead there. They were so weak and didn't do much. They were about halfway between academy student and Genin in terms of skill level. Naruto promised he would not be so weak again. His strength had to go up. He was so much stronger than all the other Hokages put together that they looked like weak, sick children. To get so strong that even Uchiha fucking Madara would have soaked his fucking pants if they actually ran into each other in real life. But how do you do it? Want to leave? Bah. Jiraiya would find him before he left the country they were in at the moment. The Sannin was also right when they said that the Akatsuki were dangerous. Not being careful, they could also get him. He had to find a place to train, learn from good teachers, and finally, get stronger. He said, there is a way, as Naruto went into his mind to see the fox. Naruto asked with doubt in his voice, and that would be. Kyuubi told Naruto, the toads. Reverse summon yourself to their mountain and tell them what Jiraiya told you. Naruto looked confused. Won't they support Jiraiya in what he's doing? Will they sell me out to him? Naruto asked the fox, who shook his head. Even though the fool is their main summoner, they don't answer to him. This is true even though he might say otherwise. His actions shame him and them, but the fool doesn't care. The man is blind to the lives and feelings of those around him, whether they are friends or foes. You know this well because of how the fool has treated you all this time, Kyuubi said, and Naruto nodded. So I go to the toads, tell them what Jiraiya has been doing, what he said, and ultimately ask them for training. All the while hoping they agree with me and not him. Why doesn't it sound so simple, even when I say it? Asked Naruto while Kyuubi smiled. Because it's not. While I am confident they will side with you, they still have to keep the fool out of reach of your person. They would need a reason to keep him away from the mountain and keep you there at the same time. All without him knowing you are on the mountain. Add to the fact, if you are missing for a long enough time, Jiraiya will report to your new Hokage, and this will no doubt cause problems for her when word gets out of your sudden disappearance, said Kyuubi with Naruto frowning for a brief. Not my problem, Naruto said, making Kyuubi look surprised. Kyuubi asked Naruto with a frown, really? I'm surprised you would be so cold to the woman about this. If you don't mind me asking, why? Because she is family, Naruto said with a Kyuubi frown. You lost me, Kyuubi said. She is from the Senju clan. From what I saw in a tattered textbook that was thrown away, the Senju clan is related to the Uzumaki clan. We're cousin clans. Even Granny's grandmother was an Uzumaki, Naruto said, Kyuubi narrowing its eyes as it thought about Mito and how she locked him up until his anger was no longer there. Bah. How did she know that? She locked him up and didn't look back. After being sealed inside the woman, why wouldn't he be angry? All of them for going against his will. Not to mention being locked up inside Mito's successor, chained, and then killed by being nailed to a small moon. Used by a Uchiha again, and then sealed into another host so that he could use it for his power without permission. If the woman had to go through what he didn't think she would be so calm and understanding. Kyuubi said, "So you're going to spite them both? One for not being a good sensei and the other for not being a good distant cousin." Naruto nodded. "Don't you agree? She kept talking about losing her brother and lover as if it were the end of the world. But when she hears my name, she doesn't even blink." Naruto asked Kyuubi. Kyuubi thought about it for a moment and then surprised the boy by agreeing with him. "You do have a point. Both your clans are related at some point, and I do know that the first Hokage married Mito all those years ago. Meaning your new Hokage is part Uzumaki to a certain degree. Something she has either clearly forgotten or no longer cares about," said Kyuubi, and Naruto agreed. "That's even more reason to make her remember," Naruto said with a smirk. "And to think, I wanted to rip you apart and eat your body while picking your bones out of my teeth," Kyuubi said as Naruto glared at him. Naruto said, "Just try it. I'll give you indigestion for the next 1,000 years, and then he was gone from his mind. "Given who your mother is, I do believe it," Kyuubi said with a sigh, knowing that the boy's mother was just like him in every way. There was no need for the fox to push, shove, or maybe even punch the boy in the face to get him to go in the right direction. He learned how to do things by watching his mother do them, and she was a lot like him in many ways. It turned out that Uzumaki became super strong and could punch through 5 buildings, 8 fences, and 2 windows. He knew because Kushina had done that to Jiraiya before when he said she was getting fat while she was pregnant with Naruto. It was the farthest a woman with super strength could hit Jiraiya. One that Tsunade couldn't break. After months, Konoha Hokage's office. "What do you mean by, Naruto is gone, Jiraiya?" Tsunade asked in a snarling, angry voice that could really hurt her teammate if he spoke another word. Jiraiya yelled, "I mean he's gone. Vanished. Taken away." When she saw Tsunade looking even more angry. "Explain." Tsunade told Jiraiya, who was moving around a bit. "Okay, it all started a few months ago when the brat and I had a fight over something. We said some rude things and hurtful words, mostly his fault," Jiraiya said as Tsunade hit the desk with her fist. Jiraiya started to sweat more as Tsunade told her, "Jiraiya. Focus. What happened?" "After leaving to deal with my anger somewhere else, I came back to our campsite and found him." "Not there," Jiraiya said. Tsunade didn't look happy. "And you didn't worry that something bad might have happened to him while you weren't there?" "Because?" Tsunade asked Jiraiya, who wouldn't look her in the eyes. Jiraiya said, "Because I didn't expect him to leave the campsite for different reasons." Tsunade's desire to kill was growing. "What were the different reasons, Jiraiya?" asked Tsunade. Jiraiya laughed nervously. "Funny thing, I might have brought up the Akatsuki and threatened to hunt him down to make him a reserve genin if he tried to run away. I might have also slapped him violently for saying something hurtful," Jiraiya said before he sobbed when Tsunade got up from her chair and looked like she was going to kill him. "First, who or what gives you the right to threaten Naruto by saying I will put him in the genin reserves? Second, why in the name of all that is good and true in the world did you beat him so badly that he would even think about leaving your so-called protection in the first place?" Tsunade asked, knowing that she was the only one with that power and that the boy had shown no promise at all. The fight he had with Kabuto when he tried to get her to become Hokage showed Tsunade that Naruto had a huge amount of potential. "It wasn't my fault. The brat actually had the nerve to say Minato would have been better off learning under Orochimaru of all people over me. That Minato had a greater chance of being alive had Orochimaru been his sensei and not me. As far as I am concerned, the brat deserved his beating. As for making him a reserve genin, I figured after I gave my official report on him being a failure in learning under me, it would happen," defended Jiraiya while Tsunade was showing incredible avoid hitting him. Jiraiya frowned and looked away as Tsunade asked, "And what did you do or say that made him say those things?" And what made you think that your recommendation alone would get him put in the genin reserves? I didn't do anything. It was the jerk. All he did on this trip was whine and complain about his training, Jiraiya said, making Tsunade narrow her eyes even more. And just what did you teach him? Tsunade asked with interest. Tsunade walked right up to Jiraiya and looked him dead in the eyes. Well. This and that. Focusing on drawing on Kyuubi's chakra. And you know. Stuff. Jiraiya said. Tsunade asked, be specific, Jiraiya. What stuff did you teach him? Jiraiya took a few steps back slowly. The kid needed to know the basics, so I tried to teach them to him. He was failing horribly. I mean, how could a genin not be able to handle the genin-based chakra control training I gave him? Tsunade's eyebrow was now twitching violently. Tsunade spoke slowly, as if she were talking to someone who wasn't there in her head. Jiraiya, do you hear yourself when you talk? Much less think? You just said you were training Naruto as if he had genin-level reserves. Exercises meant for genin with genin-level chakra are slightly higher. Jiraiya asked in a confused tone, Yasuo? This is Naruto we are talking about. Not Kiba. Not Shikamaru. Not Sakura. Not even that prick of a Uchiha. We are talking about Naruto. The boy whose chakra levels are up there with that of a cage. How the fuck is he supposed to do genin exercises with the amount of chakra running through his body? Asked Tsunade with Jiraiya looking like a landed on his head. Jiraiya said, oh. Well. When you put that. Shit. He felt a little guilty and stupid at the moment. Because Tsunade knew the fool wasn't telling her everything, she asked, what else have you done, Jiraiya? That was our main goal, to pull out the Kyuubi's chakra. But the boy kept complaining like a baby, saying things like, it hurts, I am in pain, and my body feels like it's being pulled apart. Tsunade quickly grabbed him by the shirt and brought him closer until their heads were almost touching. That's because the fox was fighting the seal, you nitwit. Did you really expect the Biju would let Naruto take its power by force? Asked Tsunade with rage. Well. Yeah. What, the seal doesn't let Naruto beat the fox and take its power for himself? Asked Jiraiya. Tsunade made a noise as if she was dealing with a complete idiot and wanted to cry over how stupid he was being. No, you dumb shit. Had you gone over the notes Minato left behind, you would know that was not the purpose of the seal. And the fact you didn't even notice this or examine the seal yourself proves just how much of an idiot you really are. Even worse, aren't you supposed to be a seal master? What possessed you to do things in such a reckless manner? Why not research how the Jinchuriki in Iwa or Kumo drew on the power of the Biju before trying anything of that magnitude? Asked Tsunade while Jiraiya looked uneasy. Come on, Tsunadeheim. I didn't have time for it. 3 years goes by pretty fast. I had to wing it. Besides, the brat should have just took the pain. So what if it hurt? We all have to go through receiving pain to get stronger, Jiraiya said before he was thrown against the wall. Tsunade stomped over to him and said, you baka. Don't you know that the way you were training him was dangerous to his health? Do you even care about him at all? When Jiraiya said, truthfully. No, I don't, Tsunade stopped dead in her tracks. Tsunade yelled, what? Why? He's Minato's son. While Jiraiya made a face. Naruto may be the child of my late student, but the kid doesn't have any talent. Even if the way I taught him was off in some way, the talent should have shown itself easily, Jiraiya said sarcastically because he was hoping to get another easy genius as a student. In a harsh voice, Tsunade said, maybe the way you trained him was wrong. Or maybe it was the lack of training. Since he had done it before and wasn't afraid of getting caught, Jiraiya asked, you think I would do that? I know you, Jiraiya. For years. Even if we haven't seen each other for over a decade, I know how you think. You care more about peeping on women than training a student to reach his full potential. You did it with your first and only Genin team, you did it with Minato, and you did it again with Naruto, said Tsunade while Jiraiya scowled. Jiraiya shot back angrily, there was nothing wrong with how I trained the fourth. Oh no? I saw your training method, once with Minato. You literally dumped all sorts of material into his lap, told him to study it, and left to peep on women at the hot springs for the next few hours.
With each new thing he learned, you copied off of, and played it off as if his ability to learn so well was thanks to your so-called teachings.
You were and are a leech, Jiraiya. Everything that Minato learned, you sucked up afterwards, and made it appear to everyone who would remotely believe you that what he learned was taught by your perverted ass, said Tsunade as Jiraiya scowled. As Jiraiya said, so? If it worked for Minato, it should have worked for his brat. But he has none of the potential. He's always making excuses about how his academy teachers sabotaged him, how Hitaki didn't teach him anything, and how I spend more time spying on women than training him. He turned pale when he saw Tsunade's angry face. So you didn't pay attention to his training. You did the same thing with Minato, you gave him hard things to learn and left Naruto to his own devices, Jiraiya growled at Tsunade. Jiraiya told Tsunade, I wasn't going to hold his hand. The spoiled brat just needed to grow up and work hard at his training like Minato did. Tsunade shook her head. You really are blind, Jiraiya. You look at Naruto and see a miniature Minato. You expect another prodigy where you put in minimal effort into the training the student. Let them do all the work knowing they will advance at it and you reap the rewards. Have you no shame? Tsunade replied back. No. Don't you get it, Tsunade? Shame is for weak people, and I have none. Why do you think I can look at women without worrying about getting hit by them? Why do I go to brothels? Why do I keep bragging that I'm a super pervert? Jiraiya asked as Tsunade walked back to her desk and scowled even more. Shame allows us to keep our morals, Jiraiya. While we are shinobi and ninja with blood on our hands, I would like to think we can hold on to something close to a personal and we do not cross, Tsunade said, and Jiraiya waved off. You sound like a spoiled brat. It was bad enough that he complained and made excuses for not being able to do half of the work I gave him, Jiraiya said as Tsunade looked at him with narrowed eyes. What if I told you those so-called excuses were true? Tsunade asked as she pulled out a huge folder with Naruto's school records. Jiraiya was interested and asked, what is this? Jiraiya was reading some papers in front of Tsunade. Read. And see, your failure for a student wasn't always a failure. He was actually very smart. Prodigy smart, she told him. This is when he first started the academy? Jiraiya asked, and Tsunade agreed. Yes. Naruto tried so hard to prove how smart he was at first to everyone. From the first few pages, you can tell Minato's brilliance was strong in him early on at the academy, Tsunade said while Jiraiya sighed. What happened? His grades have been going down over the years, Jiraiya said as he quickly looked over the papers. What do you think happened, you dumb shit? Beatings from the villagers when word got out he was actually smart. Blows to the head and the brain regenerating the way it did thanks to the Biju in him caused his brain to shift in terms of thinking. Not to mention the teachers at the academy were sabotaging him. Placing him in spars with children, who were told to go all out on him and beat him bloody. When the children didn't do that, it was the academy instructors. One of those bakas nearly took one of his eye out by accidental throw of a shuriken during a practice session. Not to mention no one was around to teach Naruto anything proper. In short, this village poisoned the poor boy's brain, and caused it to go from brilliant to stupid by the time he was 10 years old. Had you been in the Gaki's life, you would know this, and had a chance to stop it from ever happening, remarked Tsunade, even though she was just as the kid's family was her grandmother's. Why didn't Sensei fix this? Jiraiya asked, and Tsunade sighed. Because he feared Naruto's brilliance. He feared Naruto becoming the next Orochimaru. Or the next Itachi. The only real difference being Naruto possibly finding a way to actually use Kyuubi's chakra, but on Konoha for all the years of abuse this village put him through. So Sensei let it slide. He would rather have Naruto be a dumb Jinchuriki capable of fighting for the village over a smart one possibly going rogue and unleashing his well-deserved anger on Konoha, Tsunade said while Jiraiya gasped. Jiraiya looked at Tsunade and said, "It's no wonder he ran. My beating made things worse. You shouldn't have beaten him at all." "I don't care what he said to you, Jiraiya. The fact is, you most likely deserved it. Honestly, throwing him into a ravine to force him to call on the fox's chakra? What possessed you to put him in an almost guaranteed death sentence like that?" demanded Tsunade with Jiraiya sigh. "I was frustrated, all right? At the time, I wanted him out of my hair. I only trained the brat because I thought he would fail and I could go back to my research. But he kept on pestering me and his summoning of the toads wasn't getting anywhere. So I figured that a life or death situation would be the perfect way for Naruto to unlock the Bijuu's power," Jiraiya said while Tsunade narrowed her. "And what if he died? What if he didn't unlock its power, Jiraiya?" Tsunade asked. Jiraiya just shrugged his shoulders. "Then he died. It wouldn't have hurt anyone. The half Minato sealed into Naruto can't come back without the other half sealed in the Shinigami's belly while tied to my late student's soul. When the brat died from the fall, the fox would stay dead, and no one in the village would shed a tear. Everyone wins," Jiraiya said without emotion. Jiraiya waved off Tsunade's words and ignored the woman's growing killer intent. "You were being quite cold to your student's only son," Tsunade said. "What? I'm supposed to go all happy in the face at the mention of Minato's son? I don't coddle kids, Tsunade. It doesn't matter who they are or where they come from. I only care about results. If Minato's brat can't produce them for whatever reasons, whether they are real or made up, then the kid can die in a ditch for all I care. Provided the Akatsuki don't get to him first to extract the Kyuubi," Jiraiya said while Tsunade finally lost it in a paperweight at him, which he barely avoided. "Get out. Get out and don't come back, Jiraiya. Get out of Konoha. Don't stop to look at women. Don't stop at the red light district. Get the fuck out of the village. Right now," yelled a furious Tsunade, who looked like she was about to throw her desk at him. She could, too, because she was super strong. Jiraiya asked, "What? You're moving me out of Konoha?" as Tsunade stomped over to him. "No, you're going on an S-ranked mission that doesn't pay because you can do it for free," Tsunade said with a mean face. "What? S-ranked and no pay?" Jiraiya asked, and Tsunade agreed. "Yes. You are going to find Naruto. You will find him, but you will not bring him back. No. Whatever he's doing, it's meant to get stronger. When you find him, I want you to get on your hands and knees, Jiraiya. Get on your hands and knees and beg for his forgiveness for your actions," Tsunade told Jiraiya with Jiraiya. Jiraiya asked, "What? Beg him? Forgiveness? Have you lost your mind?" Tsunade then grabbed him by the throat and slammed him into the wall next to them. "You will do this, Jiraiya. You have wronged him on multiple levels. Both professionally and personally. Did you think I wouldn't keep track of your movements when I agreed to let Naruto travel with you? I had a slug summons watching your every move. Every single action. Every horrible thing you ever did when traveling. I know all about how you are spending Naruto's money on your vices. I know how you haven't been training him to fight off the Akatsuki like you said you would. And the training to use Kyuubi's chakra? It's bullshit. We both know the pair assigned to hunt Naruto from the Akatsuki were put together to nullify the use of the fox inside him. How do you expect Naruto to combat them without Kyuubi's chakra if you don't teach him anything else? Did you even try to think about such a possibility?" stated Tsunade with Jiraiya scowling. Without a doubt, Jiraiya said, of course I did. I thought I'd teach him how to use Kyuubi's chakra while we were traveling, and he learns pretty much everything else here in Konoha. Except you didn't teach him how to use it properly, Jiraiya. You put his health at risk. His life at risk. And for what? So you could spend most of your days drinking and whoring while ignoring your student who is eager to learn. Do you know how many legends of the world would jump at the chance to have a student like that? And because of your actions, Naruto has gone off the reservation, and off the map where anyone could find him, Tsunade said with Jiraiya looking away. Tsunade looked doubtful as Jiraiya said, the brat will come back. He will come crawling back to us soon enough begging me to forgive him. Not the other way around. You'll see, Tsunade. Tsunade finally asked, did you try calling him backwards with the toads? If you remember, Jiraiya said, I went to them. They weren't exactly happy with me. This made him think of the toads staring at him. Background. Mount Mayaboku, 2 weeks after Naruto went missing. What do you mean you won't help me find the kid? Jiraiya asked as he looked around the room at Gamabunta, Pa, Ma, and the other toads. They didn't look happy at all. The fact he left without you noticing after all this time and not coming to us sooner only proves our decision was correct, stated Fukasaku firmly. You were entrusted with the Gaki by Minato. Yet you spit on your duties to him and the boy. And for what? So you can write, you smut? Asked Shima with rage. Hey. What I do with my so-called responsibilities as a failed godson is my choice and mine alone. You have no right to judge me on this. Jiraiya yelled as Gamabunta put out a huge hand with webs on it. Jiraiya scowled at the giant toad and said, wrong. You had him sign our contract. He is now part of our clan. You can't do anything that puts his health at risk unless we say it's necessary. Your time with Naruto has left you wanting. When Jiraiya said, I see he told you everything before running away. Typical, Fukasaku hit him in the head with his staff. I don't know what got it in your head to be so cruel to the boy Jiraiya, but it ends now. We won't allow it. Naruto boy came to us. He told us everything you did on this little training trip of yours so far, and we shudder to think what the remaining time would have been like for him. As such, we decided to take him someplace safe so he can properly train and be ready to face the Uchiha and Orochimaru should it come down to it, said Fukasaku while Jiraiya looked at him in diss. Jiraiya asked, do you really think that failure can beat the Uchiha, let alone Orochimaru? You have no idea how pitiful and weak Naruto is, do you? He was hit in the head again, this time harder. Need we remind you, Jiraiya, that you were weak and pathetic failure once when under your own sensei's tutelage? Granted, you still are pathetic, but that's beside the point. The point is, the boy can do so much with the right teacher. He puts in more effort to get stronger than you ever did. It's why you never could perform the Senin Moto to its fullest extent. We see great things with Naruto boy just waiting to come out, and it will never be allowed to come out if you are his sensei, said Fukasaku firmly while he saw the pain in Jiraiya's face. You can train that brat until you're another color paw. He will never live up to the potential you see in him. Not with the remaining year and a half left before he had to be back within Konoha, Jiraiya replied while Fukasaku smiled. True. Your actions have caused us a considered roadblock to bringing out his true potential. But there are ways around it. Namely using that shadow clone jutsu the boy can use, said Pa while Jiraiya looked puzzled. What about it? He can make copies of himself. No big deal. The fact that he can make a few hundred or 1,000 of them doesn't make him special. They all disappear after one hit anyway, Jiraiya said. Oh well, Pa sighed and hit Jiraiya again and again after the first hit. If a shadow clone learns something, the original will remember it after dispelling it. The boy can make hundreds or even thousands of clones. You said that. In one day, he could learn and gain several weeks' worth of training. In a month? Years. Decades. By the time the boy comes back to Konoha, or should I say, if he chooses to go back to Konoha, Naruto will make that Uchiha, and you. That's not what the prophecy said about Pa. You know I'm supposed to train him. The Toad Elder told me that. Jiraiya yelled, while Pa laughed and waved his hand away from the prophecy. Jiraiya, the Elder Toad, is getting on in his years. He smokes more and more opium every day to the point where his visions are absolute nonsense. Besides, we warned you not to take them seriously no matter how clear his visions of the future possible were to him. In addition, you were told not to tell anyone about the prophecy due to the rules in place to prevent mortals from interfering in the legitimate ones. Not that you listened to us since you told your damn sensei about it the moment your body landed in Konoha, said Fukasaku while Jiraiya looked away like a cot in the cookie jar. Yeah well. I wanted him to be proud of me. I was going to train the child of prophecy. Do you know how many women would have thrown themselves at me for such fame and glory? I would be up to my neck in hot babes all wanting a piece of me, even for just one night, Jiraiya said while Pa repeatedly hit him with his tools. Your lust for the female form and your sensei's approval is not an excuse. You were told to keep such information to yourself. But you didn't listen. And because of your actions, your sensei, and those within Konoha have been trying to control the possible prophecy being altered in their favor. Shima said this time in a vengeful tone. He asked himself, would that really be so bad? The prophecy coming true and Konoha coming out on top? As he saw the toads staring at him. All the toads yelled, yes. At the same time, which made the mountain shake. Fine. You want the brat? Take him. Train him in some remote area on the mountain or some other part of the world for all I care. It doesn't matter. He's a failure. He was born a failure too. The only thing that makes him special is the fox in his gut, and the brat can't even get the beast to submit. To think he's Minato blood, joked with Jiraiya before he left. Shima looked behind Gamabunta's right back leg and saw an upset Naruto. We're sorry you had to hear that, Naruto-chan. It must have been hard to hear, Shima said. Jiraiya's words kept playing over and over in Naruto's mind, making him angry. It was hard to hear. Since I didn't know he was my godfather or that the fourth was my father until now, he said. Don't let the idiot get to you, Naruto boy. He was a failure for most of his life. The fact Jiraiya had a decent education, sensei, and wasn't a Jinchuriki speaks volumes unto itself. You have been hindered all your life, Naruto boy. But no more. We want you to train here, with us, without interference, and become every bit the shinobi you were meant to be in life. What do you say, Naruto boy? Interested in being every bit the powerhouse your father was in life? Fukasaku said with Naruto smirking now. Naruto said with determination, no Fukasaku-sama. I want to be every bit as strong as my father was in life, and even stronger. Fukasaku smiled. That's the spirit, Naruto boy. By the time we get done training you, Uchiha Madara himself will seem like a fly to be eaten in comparison. Said Fukasaku with a smile. That's what I want, so when the time comes, I can shove my fist full of crow down Konoha's throats. Teach me. Naruto yelled, his eyes sparkling with a fire that the toads had only seen in Minato after meeting the young man. End of flashback. Jiraiya muttered, lousy ungrateful fly-eating wartmakers, as Tsunade glanced at him with a narrow eye. Bitch about it later, Jiraiya. I need you to refocus your spy network, focusing on both the Akatsuki and Orochimaru since they are a threat to Konoha, Tsunade said while Jiraiya groaned. He saw Tsunade frown at him and asked, what about my mission to find Naruto and beg his forgiveness? Tsunade told Jiraiya, that can wait until later. Naruto is clearly getting his training from the toads, but at a place neither of us can go. Besides, the Gaki will most likely come back to the village when the time is right. You can beg for his forgiveness then. Jiraiya frowned at the idea of groveling to his student. And what if I say no? Jiraiya asked, his voice a little cocky. But Tsunade jumped out in front of him, grabbed the Sannin by the throat, and squeezed it so hard that she might have crushed it. Got it? Tsunade asked. If you don't do this, I will rip your testicles off and hang them on the wall behind my desk, right between the pictures of Sensei and the fourth. Got it? Jiraiya smiled sheepishly at her. How can I say no when you put it that way? Jiraiya asked as he gasped for air. Tsunade told him, you can't. Now leave my office. I don't want to see you again until you have some results. Then she threw him out the open window. Tsunade-sama, you shouldn't be the only one who should beg Naruto to forgive you, Shizune said as Tsunade frowned. Saying, I don't need a lecture from you, Shizune, Tsunade sighed and sat down in her chair. Since you don't listen to me anyway, it's not a surprise, Shizune said with a frown. What do you want me to say, Shizune? Or do for that matter? Find Naruto and say, hey Gaki. Guess what? You and I are distant cousins. We're family. I knew this whole time, but left you to suffer in Konoha alone. Forgive me. After all this time? What would you do in his place? Tsunade asked Tsunade with Shizune. Well, if I were Naruto, I would probably punch you in the face simply in the belief you deserved it. Followed by pranking the entire village as a whole. As a result, tripling your already large pile of paperwork to the point where you throw a temper tantrum and throw your desk out the window, answered Shizune while Tsunade's sweat dropped. Shizune just smiled at Tsunade and asked, Naruto wouldn't do that, would he? Given his history of pulling pranks, tell me, Shizune asked as Tsunade started to cry anime tears. That is what he would do to her. Damn. Naruto wasn't in the best mood when he got to Suna because his trip back to Konoha made him think of bad things that happened in the past. When he got back to Konoha, his mind was clearer, he was more focused, and he had a better view of life. They taught him everything they knew about chakra, including their fighting style, senjutsu, and he was able to do all of the katas perfectly thanks to what they taught him. Naruto only needed one thing else that he didn't have right now to make everything perfect. Experience in life. It was only natural for Naruto to go help his friend when he heard that the Akatsuki had taken Suna's Kazekage Sabaku no Gaara hostage. Kakashi, Yamato, Tamari, Sakura, Sai, and himself had formed a group and set out for Suna to try to stop whatever the Akatsuki were planning. Of course, they ran into trouble in the form of the Akatsuki. When the group left Suna to find Gaara, two of its own members came to fight them. In the form of Kisame and Itachi. Naruto didn't let them stop him from doing what he needed to do. So if it isn't Sushi Bitch and the Silent Asshole. Killed any other clans lately? Have you spilled the blood of innocent puppies? Asked Naruto in a snarky tone. Kisame said, look at him, Itachi. 3 years away with the Sannin and the brat thinks he's hot shit. Itachi didn't answer. Year and a half. I parted ways with that perverted fool when it became clear his way of teaching wasn't teaching at all. Honestly, teaching me to tap into Kyuubi's chakra in order to fight you two better was not one of his better ideas. It's like someone fighting a house fire with toad oil. It doesn't work and makes things worse. So I spent my remaining time training under the toads themselves, said Naruto, while Kisame kept on grinning while eyes narrowed a bit. What a waste of time you had with those talking webbed wart makers. It doesn't matter what you did. It won't help you against us, Kisame said with a mean grin. When Naruto asked Itachi, if I'm not such a big threat to you, why is he still trying to cast a genjutsu on me with his eyes like he has on everyone else? Itachi's eyes got even smaller. When Itachi said, so you found a way to make yourself immune to genjutsu. That's interesting, Naruto suddenly scowled. You can stop with the praise, Itachi. I know why you two butt buddies are here, and it's not to insult us or speak small praises at what I do. I also sense you two aren't the real deal. You hide it well, even showing the various abilities one would find in both the real Itachi and Kisame. But Uzumaki's sensory perception can see through that weak shit, and right now I see two corpses being used as puppets to hold us off while my friend is being killed. So drop the jutsu and stand aside, said Naruto as Kisame smiled. Naruto suddenly and violently kicked Kisame in the middle, sending the man flying back more than 200 feet. Or else what, brat? He yelled. Fast. Itachi thought this as he looked over at Kisame, who had changed back into the dead body they had found for this jutsu. Fun fact about senjutsu: hitting someone in a vital body area can really hurt them, Naruto said as he glared at Itachi. I am curious, how are you blocking my Sharingan's power? Said Itachi, puzzled. Simple. I'm mixing senjutsu and the Kyuubi's power through my body in perfect sync. When heading here, I spent that time gathering up as much of it as I could. Mix it just right with what is sealed in my gut, and no genjutsu you have from your shitty eyes can stand in my way. Not even the second level you have in your back pocket, said Naruto, and Itachi continued to frown. So you know, Itachi said, making Naruto laugh. Of course I do. Sasuke basically bragged as much on how Uchiha gets one of your cursed eyes to that stage. I got further information from the toads on how it works. It's a good thing I don't consider your brother my best friend, or else the bastard might get what he wanted. Aside from killing you, of course, said Naruto. Itachi continued to frown. You should reconsider. You could learn a lot from him, and forming a bond would be for the best, stated Itachi as Naruto growled. Been there, done that. What did I get in return? Insults, a broken neck, and 2 Chidoris to the chest. I think I'll pass on the idea of being friends with the Uchiha. It's not healthy, Naruto said as Itachi frowned at him because he needed them to be friends so Sasuke could get the eyes he needed to get stronger. Naruto's refusal to fix his friendship with Sasuke was getting in the way of Itachi's plans to kill the Uchiha clan, and Itachi didn't like it. He wanted Sasuke to get better at the Sharingan so that when they fought again, Itachi could give his eyes to Sasuke and become a good enough Uchiha to lead their new clan. But Naruto was being difficult, and it looked like Sasuke was the one who did the damage. It was clear that the Kyuubi Jinchuriki's time with the toads had made the boy stronger. Stronger than most people would want him to be in life. The toads also changed the boy's attitude so that he didn't put up with crap from other people and wasn't as willing to forgive someone who hurt him. Once more, it made things hard for Itachi. The next time it happened, he had to fix it without drawing attention to himself or the Akatsuki. Itachi said, a shame, but it doesn't matter. You are just a means to an end. Naruto smiled at him. I said, so are you, but Naruto moved so fast that not even the fake Itachi's eyes could keep up with him. The blonde's chakra hit him in the face where the eyes should have been. And make a big scar on Itachi's face with enough chakra to tear flesh off of its body. As well as hurting the eyes of the Uchiha's fake body. It only took one Rasengan to the fake Uchiha's chest to knock him out. Naruto then used his chakra to break out of the genjutsu his team was in. When they saw the 2 unknown bodies nearby, they wanted to know what happened, but Naruto was already on his way to where he thought Gaara's dying life force was. A Rasengan to the barrier that was set up to keep them out worked, and Naruto went inside to see Shukaku being taken out of Gaara. Naruto did something that shocked the 2 Akatsuki members sent to get the young Kage before they could say anything. It also shocked the Konoha team and the other projected Akatsuki members in the room. He pulled out 3-pronged kunai and threw them at Deidara and Sasori. Oh. Deidara said with a start because he knew what had happened because he used to be an Iwa Nin. Shit, Sasori said, and Naruto appeared out of nowhere, hitting Deidara in the head with another kunai and hitting Sasori in the side with a senjutsu-enhanced kick. Sasori's puppet body broke into 100 pieces, but the puppet inside the puppet made it out, albeit just barely. He tried to help, but Naruto moved out of the way and slammed his fist into Sasori's puppet chest, which the blonde knew was where the last anchor of life that held the puppet master in place. Any last words before you die? Naruto asked in a sarcastic tone. I do. I know Orochimaru is your enemy. He is mine too. I have a spy within his ranks at nearly the highest level. I was meant to meet up with him in the next 2 weeks to obtain the Sanin's future movements. I now give you this chance to kill him in my place, said Sasori while Naruto widened his eyes. Location, Naruto said while Sasori whispered it into his ear. Then Naruto crushed his heart inside the puppet body and looked back at the shocked Akatsuki members who were staring back at him. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki. We meet at last, Pain said from his projection after a long silence. He was still trying to understand how the boy could use the Yondaime's most dangerous special power. That's something he would need to talk to Tobi and Zetsu about alone. Naruto said, and you must be the leader of these jerks. That makes you the biggest jerk of them all. Pain didn't respond to the insult. What? Call me an asshole with you? You are so fucking lucky I'm not there right now, kid. I could kill you easily and sacrifice you to Jashin himself. Hidan said through the projection. It was Naruto who said, are you listening? No? Then shut up and suck rope. The man he was yelling at cursed and made more threats, and the person next to him laughed. All of these things didn't bother Naruto when he went to get Gaara, who was barely alive. Luckily, they had reached a point where Shukaku wasn't fully taken out of Gaara and went back into the redhead's body. Shortly after, Naruto quickly changed the weak seal to make it stronger and added a number of security features to help stop another forced extraction like this one. When he was done, Naruto looked over at the projections that were still watching him and growled at Pain, who was looking back at him with dark Rinnegan eyes. As Pain spoke, Naruto looked at him briefly before turning his attention to a projection further away from the other members. You are only delaying the inevitable. You and every other Jinchuriki will soon be an extension of my will and bring about a new era of peace through pain, Pain said. Before picking up his friend and leaving, Naruto told them, I'm going to enjoy ripping out your spinal column. I suggest you all get ready for the fight I'm going to bring to your doorstep. Because I am not going to hold back and I am going to show you why it is unwise to piss off Uzumaki Naruto. He then ignored his teammates and picked up his friend. They could tell that the Naruto they knew or thought they knew was gone after what he did. Naruto in this form was ready for a fight and didn't mind beating people up if they deserved it. Orochimaru's lair a little while later. When Sasuke looked down at his former teammate and sensei, he said, so, where is the loser? I see a pink-haired wannabe for a kunoichi. I see my lazy pervert for a sensei. I see an unknown and obviously weak shinobi, but not the loser. While Yamato was looking for the Sannin, Kakashi asked, maybe he doesn't think you're worth the trouble. At the very least, the last few hours, if not the last few weeks, had been interesting for them. At least it was for Kakashi when Naruto came back to the village looking and acting very different from before. Naruto was very different when he finally got back to Konoha. He was no longer cocky, boastful, and weak in general like he was when he left with Jiraiya. He was serious and calm, but there was something about him that made it seem like a storm was building up all around him. When Kakashi tried to greet him, Naruto just gave him the most serious look. The cycloptic Junin stopped moving right away because it made him think of his late sensei when he was serious. That's when Kakashi knew the Naruto he remembered wasn't there anymore. The blonde who hated ramen and yelled, being Hokage one day, was gone for everyone to hear. Someone who was ready for a fight took his place. They would gladly give it to them if it came to that. When Naruto walked into the Hokage's office, Tsunade wanted to hug him. She almost did, but the blonde man gave her the same look he gave Kakashi at that very moment. When he got back to the village, he wasn't there for hugs, kisses, well wishes, or anything else that would make him seem like a friend to somebody else in the village. He was here for work. It was his goal to get rid of some of his debts and get other people to pay theirs. In order to make up for past mistakes. It has Sasuke, Kabuto, Orochimaru, and even the Akatsuki in it. He also made it clear that anyone who thought they could get away with this kind of abuse against him in the past or in the future would be punished. Kakashi and Tsunade knew Naruto wasn't going to kill anyone, but the blonde Uzumaki made it clear that people who tested him would wish they had died. Also, he made it clear that the toads had helped him fix any broken thinking or false ideas he had about Konoha and life in general. It was made clear that it was okay to forgive, but not when it was taken for granted. Not only that, but if they were proud about it, not only did that waste the forgiveness, it made the people who did it think they were right. People who abused Naruto thought it was okay to do bad things to him because they were never punished or paid attention to when they did them. Even worse was the fact that no one told them they were wrong about Naruto in the first place. Why should anyone feel bad about what they did if no one did it? Who cared if they hurt the Jinchuriki if no one was going to point out that the boy hadn't done anything wrong? The jerks could say that abusing the boy kept him in line. They were allowed to hurt the boy and would do it again if they could get the same result since they weren't punished at the start. For Naruto, these kinds of thoughts were wrong. Things that people do have results, and what Konoha did to him was wrong. The people in charge didn't punish them for what they did and instead tried to let them see the light on their own, which was a bad idea because the group mentality wouldn't let a single person think differently. Naruto thought that the only way to fix this was to break the group mentality and go after the individual fragments of it before they could come together again somewhere else. Show them that their view was not only wrong, but it would also get them in trouble. He thought that if they weren't punished for what they did in the past, it would only teach younger generations to be mean to any Jinchuriki who followed him. Neither of them was going to stand for it, not even close. Naruto told Tsunade they could talk about more personal things later, and to give him the key to his parents' house. The one he should have had from the start but wasn't given because of the Sandaime and the council's desire for power when he was younger. A small group of people in the room who already knew Naruto's parents could tell that he also knew the truth. They were angry at anyone who knew the truth but did nothing to help him. He had been helped a lot by the toads, who also taught him things he needed to know but hadn't had access to his whole life. They fixed the wrong picture Konoha, the Sandaime, and Jiraiya had given him while he was living there. Of course, they were horrified by some of the mental abuse the village had done to the boy as well as the physical abuse. The damage had to be fixed with a lot of work, but the shadow clone jutsu, which made thousands of copies every day so the real one could focus on training as a ninja while his mind was healed, was a great defense. Another thing the toads thought was that Naruto had never been shown the shadow clone jutsu, even though it was made for an Uzumaki with a lot of chakra. Also, the fact that the Sandaime and Academy teachers knew the boy had such high reserves but didn't offer any other clone jutsu was a worry. The Academy even let Rock Lee graduate, even though the boy in the spandex had almost no chakra to begin with. It made a bunch of questions, and the only answers that came after were guesses. Once more, the toads thought something was wrong. Naruto was even more upset when all of his teachers told him to try harder and pay more attention in class, even though they were the ones who kicked him out, even though Naruto hadn't done anything wrong. They didn't tell him anything about controlling chakra or other types of clone jutsu he could use. They also didn't tell him anything about elemental clone jutsus like the earth or water ones. The longer the toads thought about it, the more foul play seemed likely. They made a mental note to speak to Jiraiya about this in case the fool knew or thought about what would happen. But Tsunade still wanted to put his skills to the test in a test. When Naruto asked the boy who would do the test, he sent a small pulse of killer intent through the room. It scared Tsunade, Shizune, Kakashi, and the hidden Anbu that was watching the whole thing. When Kakashi did the test, the fact that Naruto had grown up so much since the last time he saw him didn't really surprise him. Naruto didn't even need Sakura's help or the technique Tsunade taught her to make her stronger than a normal person. It didn't matter that he ignored her the whole time when he got back. Of course, Sakura would yell at him to get his attention, but Naruto kept his attention on the test. That, of course, was the fucking bell test. Naruto remembered that he was stuck to a post because of unfair treatment at the end of something. To be honest, Sakura fell twice, once from a genjutsu and again when she saw Sasuke's head sticking up from the ground. She didn't even try to get the bell. It doesn't matter if he tried to eat the food. Kakashi had been a jerk the whole time, and both times they met him, he was late. He acted like it was okay to waste their time when they could have done something instead of waiting. The blonde did not understand why Kakashi punished Naruto and did other things when Team 7 was formed. He also didn't care about that. Naruto planned for Kakashi to pay for what he did to him when they first met by giving him this test. Luckily, Kakashi had told him and Sakura to attack the Junin with the goal of killing them. Because of this, Naruto quickly and cleanly beat Kakashi by himself in a matter of seconds. He then took the one bell the Junin had and gave it to a stunned Sakura before leaving the training field without saying a word. But Jiraiya showed up in front of him with a frown on his face, telling him not to do it. You have changed, Gaki. Not for the better, though. You don't have the right to judge me. After all the crap you did. That means you have a grudge, right? Okay, it's not my fault that you can't handle a few blows. You fucking waste of space, we both know this is more than a few hits. I wasn't there for you when you were a kid. Do you really believe that you are the only one whose parent or godparent doesn't do what they need to? Get old. I didn't hold your hand back when you were a weak cur, and I won't now either. Also, I'm not going to get down on my knees and beg for your forgiveness, no matter what Tsunade says. You don't have to hold my hand or beg me to forgive you. One of them is too old for me, and I have nothing to give the other one. I would love to forgive you, Jiraiya, but we both know that it would be pointless for a man who cares more about boobs and butts than his own family. Is it any wonder that the old fart monkey liked Orochimaru more when he had to teach you too? Keep an eye on it, kid. The Sandaime taught me and was a great person. Hey, you might think you're hot right now, but I've been around longer and can still kick your ass. That's what you would think. But we both know that your skills aren't very good. When was the last time you worked out, Jiraiya? And by actually trained in the toad katas you were told you need to practice all the time? How long ago was the last time you really fought someone? It's easy to answer. It's been a long time. It would be impossible for me to lose to you right now if you were at your best. I would have enough energy to go on a mission without slowing down. That's some rough talk for a brat who is only 16 years old. It's not talking. I can back it up right now. At the moment. The only reason I don't is that I have to go see Hokage for a message. Excuse me. Excuse me. The same as before, 15 months ago. You would fight me right now if you were really stronger. I'm going to fight you. As soon as I kill Orochimaru and bring back a hurt Sasuke. Naruto, you can't kill him. Too strong as Orochimaru. On top of that, Sasuke will kill you all if you fight him. The kid is very smart. Not at all. Hey Ero Sennin, what do you say? I will fight you when I get back from killing your old teammate and bringing back mine. By yourself. Don't hold back. You fight me with everything you have, and I will do the same. Do you agree? Done. Gika, I hope you're ready to admit that you're not as good as a man like me. And I hope you realize how stupid it was to ignore me all those years ago when I leave your broken body on the ground. Also, just so you know, I will kill you if I see a chance. Jiraiya, this isn't going to be a simple spar. I plan to not only win this war, but also make sure that you will never be the same again because of it. One more thing, though. It's not true that your sensei was the god of shinobi. He was the god of lying. There were two sets of rules that the Sandaime Hokage always broke, and that was the only skill that he was able to pass on to you. I'm telling you this, kid. If you say one more bad thing about my sensei, I'll kill you right now. Remember that you've already tried that? Putting me in that deep, endless gorge in order to awaken the Kyuubi's chakra. Also, the toads think you're a fool for coming up with such a silly idea. It was the fastest way to finish. I didn't think it was a big deal if you failed. Since I was your godfather, I had the right to see how you were raised and trained as a shinobi. Does that mean I should die as either one or the other? What did the toads say about the prophecy? It all? Yeah. Yes, they did. It's all rubbish, you know. I heard it exactly as it was said. I don't understand why the Elder Toad told you that prophecy. It wasn't meant for you to hear it. Not to mention telling the Sandame about it. Right? You do know that Kami set rules about prophecies, right? But it doesn't surprise me. I don't think you cared about the people you were going to train because you were so focused on the part where you were supposed to focus on yourself. Don't follow those rules. No way, Kami. Do you really think I care about that? Did Kami and his rules not show up when Madara betrayed Konoha? How did Orochimaru betray Konoha? When did the fourth Hokage die? When my teacher died. When I lost everything important to ME. I didn't have to follow the rule he made if Kami wasn't going to. Please spare me your so-called pain. Before you became a shinobi, you were just a lazy, sexy, and greedy leech. A long time before those bad things happened to you. You took advantage of my dad and anyone else you could for your own gain. The only reason you didn't go even deeper into the fourth was because my mom saw how bad you were and stopped you. Now I know why I'm glad she's not here with us today. That jerk of a mother had no right getting in the way of me and my old student. It was my right to sex with him if I saw fit. She didn't have the right to get in the way of my conversation with my old student. Even though they were married? My mom wasn't happy with you when she heard you trying to get my dad to agree that having a piece of kunoichi ass on the side was fine. That way if my mom got too bitchy, he could always go to another woman for comfort. Additionally, you told my dad that the people of Konoha didn't really care about my mom because she was a foreigner, and that having a kunoichi from Konoha on the side as a backup was better. What do you know about that? I think both of my parents put a little bit of their souls into the seal in case it broke from stress and strain. When I told them about my life, they were mad at you and kunoichi as a whole. They think that what you did broke their trust in you as a responsible godparent. They will be having words with you about it after you die. Kakashi still got cold when he thought about it. Even more so the last part. The Junin knew that Kushina was a woman that you should not cross. Ever. Even Orochimaru, who liked to hurt people, knew that making the woman mad was worse than Tsunade getting mad and Jiraiya peeping on her. The loser seems to have become even more stupid since the last time I saw him, Sasuke bragged before he suddenly gasped in pain and grabbed his neck, which felt like it was on fire. The Uchiha's eyes widened as Naruto spoke behind Sasuke. Or maybe Kakashi is right. I don't see you as a threat or challenge to me anymore, he said. Where did he get behind me when I didn't notice him? Is that right? Sasuke asked himself before he turned around and tried to cut the blonde in half with his sword. Or, the Naruto in front of him could blow up and send him flying back down to the Konoha team below. That is, it would have happened if Naruto hadn't come at him from the right and kneed him in the ribs. After this, Sasuke got hit in the face with a punch to the left. The Konoha team was surprised when one of them shot up from the ground in the lab into the air and hit the Uchiha in the spine with a chakra-enhancing kick. After this, a huge group of Naruto shadow clones formed a whip and launched Naruto at Sasuke, hitting him in the chest. This knocked the still shocked Uchiha back down. Not such hot shit now, are you Uchiha? Did Orochimaru spend his time training you to be a proper shinobi, or as his personal sex pet? Naruto asked his old teammate, who was struggling to stand up after taking a lot of hits. How? How can you be this strong? Sasuke asked Naruto with a bored look in his eyes. Through training. Lots and lots of training. Training day and night. I bloodied my hands, my feet, and even my face to the point where the crimson liquid acted as a second skin. I broke my bones in so many places it's not even funny. What I did to you was not even a fraction of what I can do to you, Sasuke. The force behind each blow I landed had enough power behind it to rival one of Tsunade's super strength punches. Right now, I believe you have several broken ribs, a badly bruised if not broken spine, and jaw shattered on one side with a few teeth being loose, if not falling out, stated Naruto calmly while he raised a hand to stop Sakura from helping the Uchiha. Naruto laughed at Sasuke while he said, I should have killed you at the Valley of the End. To think I spared you on a whim. Hurt him. The Uchiha. A group of people. You spared me on a whim? Once again Sasuke, you copy others before doing anything truly original. I spared you first. I could have ripped right through your Chidori with my Rasengan or let my attack rip your face clean off while taking those eyes Orochimaru wanted so badly right out of their sockets. But I held back. I held a lot back. Orders were to use force if you resisted were authorized, but it wasn't lethal force. You, however, had no such restraint, and came at me with the intent to kill. You threw everything you had at me and I came back for more. Your victory over me Uchiha was a technicality. Nothing more. Said Naruto while Sasuke was angry and tried to apply his curse mark. He tried, but failed. Sasuke was shocked and said, my power. The curse seal. I can't use it. He thought Naruto had put some kind of suppressor on him. You're just realizing that now? I killed Orochimaru and as a result the curse seal on you was destroyed before I even made my presence known to your soulless ass. Honestly, you are so arrogant and smug about yourself that you don't have any sensory awareness for having eyes in the back of your head. Your belief that no one would even dare attack the mighty Uchiha Sasuke from behind is so strong that your awareness a shinobi should have for such things completely sucks, said Naruto while Sasuke felt worse. As Sasuke tried to push himself and started to wince in pain, he said, impossible. There is no way you are near Orochimaru's level. Or Kabuto's. I train to the point of exhaustion each day Sasuke. With my stamina and chakra, I can train all day into the night. It got to the point where Pa and Ma Toad threatened to halt my training if I didn't get any sleep at night. One point, I was training so hard they caught me sleep training, and had to watch me until they could figure out how to stop it, said Naruto while Sasuke snarled at. You used the Kyuubi for your training, didn't you? Orochimaru already told me all about it. Your dirty little secret. You used its power like a crutch to get stronger. Without it, you are nothing. Sasuke said with Naruto scoffing. As if you were one to talk. Who used Curse Seal Stage 2 on me at the Valley at the End? Who has the Sharingan? Do you want to talk about crutches in order to get stronger? Yours is practically in your blood. You copied Lee's taijutsu for the Chunin exams rather than learn how to do it the old-fashioned way of learning it yourself because you can't do it the old-fashioned way. And what did it get you? All those fancy moves required having a lot of stamina. You may have copied the forms of his taijutsu during the month spent training, but you lack the meat behind it. I didn't make that mistake. I can go toe-to-toe with Maeda Guy, Rock Lee, and Kakashi here at the same time all day while barely breaking a sweat. I imagine that's not the case with you Sasuke. I imagine you can barely stand if you were to spar with Orochimaru or Kabuto while going all out, said Naruto as Sasuke drew blood talk. Naruto smiled and said, fuck you. To Sasuke. Naruto told Sasuke, no thanks, Sasuke. I'm straight. Unlike you, I don't run away from beautiful women to be with a creepy snake pedophile and his equally creepy butt buddy. When we get back to Konoha, you will answer for your crimes. You will answer for everything, traitor. Naruto then kicked Sasuke in the face hard enough to knock him out. Was that really necessary? Sakura asked Naruto as he gave her a cold look. If you had paid attention to half of what Tsunade should have taught you, Sakura, you would have seen that Sasuke's body language before I arrived made it clear that he was going to kill you all. He would have swooped down, killed you all, and not lost a wink over it. Hell, I bet he would have put your bodies on display for everyone to see to make me mad. Still think it was too much? Naruto asked before he choked Sakura. Saying, you don't have to be so cold, Naruto, Sakura frowned, since she was finally talking to him but wasn't even thought of as polite. Well, when you've had 2 assassination jump kicks to the chest and your neck broken by a ravine high pile driver, you can decide if someone who uses those moves should be treated with kid gloves or not, Naruto said as he walked away, ignoring his old teammate's shocked look. When Naruto let his mind wander and come up with new ideas for things to make, he couldn't wait to show them off and make fun of everyone. Hokage's officer right after. If I wasn't seeing the proof right in front of me, I would have thought you were all going to a mental hospital, Tsunade said as Naruto took out 2 scrolls and opened one of them. The one who has Orochimaru and Kabuto's heads in their hands. One of the heads might have been a giant white snake, but it was definitely Tsunade and Jiraiya's old teammate. Seeing is believing, Tsunade, Naruto told her in a serious tone, deciding not to call her Granny anymore. Not to be polite. No. Her worth didn't matter to him. Not any longer. She's not her. Jiraiya, no. Not Sandame, who died. Not you, Kakashi. They didn't do any of them. Most of all the adults. Everyone knew the truth. It takes a lot of being blind, deaf, and dumb not to know who the boy's real father was. The Inuzuka clan made Naruto very angry because he knew they should have been able to tell right away because their sense of smell was better. They only had to smell him and see if it reminded them of his parents who had died. Tsunade, on the other hand, looked sad because she wasn't called Granny, which was his strange way of showing respect. The nickname was kind of a jab at how old she was getting, but it wasn't meant to be mean, at least not anymore, and it was missing that point in a weird way. Tsunade was interested and asked, "How did you kill him?" Naruto said, "It was easy. I made Orochimaru and Kabuto mad, so I had them make the first move. It wasn't hard. I just had to tap into the one weakness they had left." What weakness was that? Tsunade asked with interest, and everyone else listened carefully. Easy. It was their pride. I attacked and insulted their pride. I insulted the intelligence of Orochimaru first. His so-called ability to cheat death and mocked him for fearing it. I called him a lowly parasitic worm who wets himself in the presence of the Shinigami. I also needed to make sure Kabuto didn't try to cool his head, so I proceeded to insult him next. I did this by mocking Kabuto for being so loyal to Orochimaru. I also called him Orochimaru's personal butt buddy and liked to have the Sanin's extended tongue and cock slithering up his ass because he didn't have any other purpose in life when it came to serving the Sanin. Naturally, the two didn't take my insults very well, and the fact that their pride was being attacked by someone they considered weak was something they couldn't tolerate, said Naruto, but there was more. Instead of shaming the two missing nin, Naruto didn't waste time being showy with them for one thing. He killed them both quickly and accurately. Kabuto was the first to die. That was enough. He cut off the man's chakra-covered arm at the elbow and then hit him in the head with the standard Anbu sword he had gotten from the traitorous and emotionally stunted Sai. Sai was killed by Naruto because he thought something was wrong with the pale-skinned and anxious boy. He knew how to tell when someone wasn't who they said they were, no matter how hard they tried to hide it. His parents taught him well. Sensory awareness really kicked ass. So, Naruto questioned Sai so much that the boy was covered in blood. It was a quiet mess that was still bloody. Once Naruto looked through Sai's ninja gear, he saw the pictures of Anbu without their masks, along with lists of their names and some of their skills. There was a message from Shimura Danzo of Konoha asking the two of them to work together to get Tsunade out. It looked like all of these things were given to Orochimaru. The Anbu pictures were a sign of good faith payment to Orochimaru, along with the promise of test subjects if the Sannin helped him become the next Hokage. In the end, Naruto saved this proof for later and then killed Sai with his own sword before the Root Nin could even think about what had happened. This was hidden from the rest of the team, who had gone off to find Orochimaru's base. That was very easy for him to lie about when they asked about Sai on the way back to Konoha. He said that Kabuto killed Sai with the chakra scalpel to the chest. It wasn't too hard to believe the story was true since the blonde used his own experience as a point of reference. That's how Naruto almost died at one point. So, the group would believe the story, which would help him make the lies seem more real when he gave his report. Kasashi, Yamato, and Sakura would all be able to see the remembering look on Tsunade's face, so they wouldn't have any doubts. There was fighting going on, so the body was thrown off the bridge and into the river below. This made it impossible for them to find Sai's body, which had been burned to ashes, so there was no way in hell that it could be found. What about Orochimaru? He was so mad that Naruto killed Kabuto so quickly and easily that he went all out against the Kyuubi Jinchuriki right away. Naruto did the same thing, and the land around them changed into something completely different. He tried to use his sword on Naruto when he turned into four tails so that the poison in it would kill the blonde. Suddenly, Naruto grabbed the sword as it was being raised, pulled the Sannin forward, and cut him in half with his claws. She shocked him. By putting both halves back together, Orochimaru was able to get better, but as soon as he did that, Naruto was on his back, sinking his claws and teeth into the Sannin's body. Biju chakra was sent into the man, which broke down his flesh. The man barely managed to shake off the Jinchuriki before shedding his skin-like body to save his life, only to be hit by a Biju bomb. He used the triple Rashomon jutsu to try to protect himself. The blast was stopped, but it almost didn't work. Naruto, on the other hand, was on the Sannin again before he had a chance to quickly heal, and he started to seriously hurt Orochimaru. At last, Orochimaru had no choice but to change into his huge white snake form and fight Naruto when he had four tails. As the fight went on, it quickly turned into a show of pure skill, speed, smarts, and timing, with some wild animal fury on both sides. During the battle, Naruto grabbed Kusanagi's dropped and forgotten sword and cut the Sannin's head off completely. Soon after, Naruto stabbed the head 12 times into the brain just to be safe. He then set fire to the large white body that looked like it was made up of many small snakes to make sure the Sannin could not live. Once the blonde had sealed up the snakehead, she was off to deal with Sasuke's traitorous behind. I find that hard to believe, Naruto. You're strong. Unbelievably strong. But to take down someone like Orochimaru, much less Kabuto together, is difficult to accept, Tsunade said with doubt. Naruto said, and yet, here we are with the proof sitting on your desk. Oh, one more thing before I forget. He then pulled out a scroll and opened it, showing Sasuke's battered body in front of the woman's desk. Naruto kicked the Uchiha in the ribs, and the groan that came from his body afterward showed that he was still alive. The Anbu agreed and told Tsunade, take the traitor away. Only Ibiki, Anko, and I can see him until I say otherwise. If anyone else tries to see Uchiha Sasuke, I want you to arrest them. Tsunade then left the room while the Uchiha was being taken away. Naruto asked, when can I get my pay? Tsunade sighed because she missed the spoiled brat who would yell and smile about being Hokage. She was still sure he would be Hokage, but she knew his smile would be different. From now on, he was dead serious. What did he learn while he wasn't with Jiraiya and Konoha? Did they, her sensei, and Tsunade herself really hurt him that badly? There was a bounty for killing Orochimaru and Kabuto and for getting Uchiha Sasuke back. Tsunade said, here is your pay stub for all of that. Take it to the bounty pay room and they'll give you the money you deserve. Naruto took them, but didn't smile at her. Unlikely. If they are the same idiots who were there 3 years ago, they still owe me back pay for not providing the appropriate amount of cash from my previous missions when the Sandaime was alive. This includes the bounty for the 2 Akatsuki members I killed back Suna when rescuing Gaara, said Naruto while Tsunade groaned because she this. Did you tell my sensei about this when he was alive? Tsunade asked, making a note in his head to go check out that section. Yes, I did. The Sandaime said he would look into it. I waited 2 weeks for him to fix the problem, but he never did. I always thought it was because he was too busy, given how important I am to people in this village, Naruto said. Tsunade sighed and cursed her late sensei in her mind for how he treated the blonde in front of her. Naruto frowned at Tsunade as she said, I'll take care of it. If they cause you any trouble, tell them I'll be down soon and will check everything out myself if I need to. Then Naruto said, funny, he said the same thing. Don't bother getting in the way. I'll handle them myself. He then left with his pay stub. Tsunade asked Naruto, what happened to you? Why are you being so cold? This isn't like you. Naruto stopped at the door. Normally, I wouldn't be like this. But after spending time away from Konoha and been taught things I was denied for years, I felt change was necessary. Why do you care? I would think a mature version of myself would be an improvement over the stupid one you first met 3 years ago, said Naruto before leaving the room. Should we be worried, Hokage-sama? Yamato asked. Tsunade sighed and told Yamato not to worry. No, Naruto is very angry right now. This village made him angry, and being away for so long brought it to the surface. If he wants to let off some steam, he should. Maybe that will show these idiots what it means to abuse a child and act like it's not a big deal just because the child is a Jinchuriki, Tsunade said as the door opened again and 3 people she didn't want to see came in. Yes, that's right. The Jinchuriki killed both Orochimaru and Kabuto, Danzo said, and Tsunade gave him a strange look. Remember that his name is Danzo, Tsunade told him, but it was clear that the old Warhawk didn't care about that right now. He didn't. You jerk. As Kaharu looked at Orochimaru's face, which looked like a huge white snake head, he asked, did he explain how it was done? All 3 elders gave her a dirty look and said, he did. But I don't have to tell you. The 2 Akatsuki members were the first ones to demand that Tsunade tell them about how strong the Jinchuriki has become. As members of your council, we demand that you tell us how strong the Jinchuriki has become. Homura yelled, making Tsunade clench her teeth in anger. Even though Tsunade was mad, the old man tried to keep his cool. You demand something from me? You dare say that to my face? You demand to know the answer to your question? Of me? Your Hokage? She asked. Danzo said, the Jinchuriki is very strong, Tsunade. Knowing what he can do now that he's back is important for keeping this village's weapon in check. Tsunade was furious that Naruto was still being talked down to. Jiraiya did it, and she did it too when she first met the jerk, but it was clear that these 3 would be rude to Naruto until the day they died. That she hoped would happen soon. That person is called Danzo. If you can't say his name, you shouldn't be around me or him. In fact, if you can't stand the thought of calling him by his name, you should kill yourself right now. No one in this office will treat him badly while I'm Hokage, Tsunade said. Danzo scowled, and the other 2 elders looked shocked. Kaharu said, Tsunade. You can't be serious. You want to talk serious? Jiraiya hasn't been training the boy for the last 3 years. In fact, Jiraiya has proven himself incompetent in that area, and has done it on purpose. It was fortunate that Naruto decided to take the initiative and go to the Toads themselves for training. Unlike my former teammate, they were ready to help get him stronger for the enemy we know is waiting to strike, Tsunade said while the elders looked even more upset. No one knew if it was because Jiraiya didn't pay attention to Naruto's training or because Naruto got the training he needed to get stronger. He should have been sent to me for training from the start. I could have turned him into a cruel shinobi the right way, Danzo said, making Tsunade narrow her eyes. There is no question about that last part, Danzo. Provided he wasn't a Jinchuriki. But the fact still remains, Naruto being trained like one of your old Rootinin wouldn't work very well for anyone. Jinchuriki need their emotions, and the lack of them will make one weak to the point where they are simply cannon fodder to be used on an enemy. Not only that, but I highly doubt you want to risk Naruto snapping mentally, and pulling an Itachi on an even greater level before we could stop him. Besides, we all know any shinobi you train, are as conditioned to your root training is basically programmed to be loyal only to you. We all know the boy would have been used in a coup. To take the position of Hokage from me, stated Tsunade, and Danzo didn't say anything real and just chose not to acknowledge what the woman said claimed he did was true. Danzo would have used the boy as a loyal pawn to take Konoha from his old rival or the woman in front of him. He wouldn't say it outright, though. Let the woman sitting in the Hokage's seat accuse him of possibly taking the Kyuubi Jinchuriki for himself. Tsunade thought his silence meant everything, but since he had no proof, she was just making stuff up. That was fine with him because it made the woman look like she wasn't good enough to be Hokage. What does Jiraiya have to say about the boy? Homura asked with interest as he switched the subject back to the famous Jinchuriki in the village. What do you think? He is acting like an angry man-child about it. Naruto resents him for the lack of training received from the beginning and knows Jiraiya did it deliberately. Not only that, but I imagine the Toads told Naruto quite a few things that no one ever thought would be revealed to him until much later in life. Certain things we would rather take to our grave before letting see the light of day, Tsunade said while the elders now looked at their fear. Yes, even Danzo. They wouldn't dare. Hiruzen forbidden the boy from learning anything until he was ready. Kaharu yelled, and Tsunade gave her a mean look. And when would this sense of readiness be determined, Kaharu? When we were all on our deathbeds. When Naruto himself was old, gray-haired, and too weak to do anything if he felt like it. Besides, Sensei only forbid Konoha shinobi from telling him. The Toad summons do not fall into that category. He is also their summoner and therefore have the right to tell him things we would not, stated Tsunade, while none of the three elders liked this at all. These things need to be erased from his mind, Danzo said right away, and the others agreed. No. I forbid it. Naruto knows what he knows and that's fine. He should have known the things he does now from the start. Sensei made the wrong choice on how to raise Naruto in Konoha. He let the village treat the boy like a punching bag in order for them to vent out their frustrations and damn near stunted the boy's growth and potential beyond repair. We all know that if my grandfather, granduncle, and grandmother were here they would have piled a lot of bodies in the middle of the village square for what this place has done to him. And don't bother denying it. I know enough about the issue to know that all three of you helped in its very orchestration. You were all just as guilty as he was when alive and even more so to let it continue, said Tsunade while knowing these three had the influence within Konoha's government to make it happen. It would be rude to everyone in this room if you said otherwise. We did what was best for Konoha. Such potential had to either be stunted, controlled, or both to the point where the boy could not attack us. Hiruzen understood this and decided to let things play out. Whether or not it went against the wishes of the fourth Hokage was irrelevant. The needs of the village as a whole outweighed the wishes of the select few, Homura said as Tsunade scowled. The people in front of me are afraid to make the selfless sacrifice play to make sure Konoha lives to see the next day. Says the select few, who played on the fears of the whole village to get what they wanted from the start. Says the people in front of me. You three are a bunch of whiny cowards who throw away the true patriots of this village just to sit in your comfy seats of power and judge others for the work they do, Tsunade said, making faces full of anger. So what are you going to do now, Tsunade? Danzo asked, interested in what she planned to do with the weapon for the village. It is Hokage-sama to you, Danzo. If you can't call me by my title, I suggest you not come to any more council meetings, and officially retire from all service. As to your question, I will let Naruto do as he wishes. If anyone tries to fuck with him from now on, it will be their own damn fault if he finally decides to smash their stupid faces through a wall or two, Tsunade said, while the elders didn't like very much. So you're okay with him getting angry at Konoha, its people, and us? Homura asked as Tsunade frowned. Yes. I do. As to what I do not condone, Homura-san, is people in this village, which my grandfather built, trying to hurt Naruto, and thinking they can get away with it. This village needs a wake-up call, if not a kick in the ass. Who better to kick it than Naruto? Tsunade said with the elders grimacing. They didn't like her choice at all now. The people will not stand for this, Hokage-sama, Homura said as Tsunade glared at him. If they want to find someone to blame when Naruto starts beating people up, they can either look in the fucking mirror or they can take their anger out on the three of you for starting this whole thing. Tsunade gave them a choice because she knew the people would complain to them first before going to her. They should either say that people hate Naruto because he was born, or they should blame Naruto himself. Or are they willing to take the blame, hate, and anger of the crowd that will surely form because of the plans they made that led to its creation? She didn't care either way, and she had a feeling that Naruto wouldn't either if he were in her shoes. The elders were right to say they didn't like Tsunade's choice about Naruto and that he should be free to do what he pleased if someone tried to hurt him. When the boy Konoha hated suddenly turned on them, it was a big shock and wake-up call for them. The payroll office was the first to feel his anger when he got back to the village after killing Orochimaru and Kabuto on his way to get Sasuke. With the excuse of demon tax and other nonsense, they tried to steal the whole amount from his bounties and mission pay. With mean smiles on their faces because they had done it to him before and didn't think they would get in trouble with the higher-ups or Tsunade's predecessor as Hokage. More than that, they were told to do it. What did Naruto say? They beat them up badly and then threw their bodies in front of the hospital. They were obviously stupid enough to want to charge him and make a big deal out of it in front of the Hokage. Why not? People often bragged about the brat to the third, even when Naruto didn't do anything or say anything. They were not, however, dealing with the Sandaime Hokage. They had to deal with the Hokage of Gondame. Because of this, Tsunade said she had no problem bringing charges against Naruto, as long as they admitted to cheating the boy for years on his mission pay and had probably done it before he beat them up. They turned pale with fear because they knew that telling the Hokage about it would get them sent to prison and all of their assets being wiped out before being given to Naruto. To put it briefly, Tsunade pretty much shut them up. And to show that no one was mad, those idiots were sent to work in a different department that had nothing to do with Naruto, but with a lot less money in their pockets. It was too bad that it didn't end with those bakas. As time went on, Naruto didn't get along with many of the people in the village, and he wasn't going to stand there and take it. Because of this, every other day, piles of bodies were sent to the hospital, whether they were shinobi or civilians. As you might expect, people tried to get Tsunade to bring the demon under control again, or do something else that would make things normal again. Which meant they had to use Naruto as a punching bag once more. The boys' mistreatment by them was wrong from the start, so Tsunade told them no and that they would get what was coming to them for it. If they wanted to press charges, they could, but she reminded the poor victims that if they did, she would have to look into their past and see what they did to make Naruto attack them in the first place. No matter how small it seemed, she would make sure to find out about every bad thing the people had done to the boy. She had to hear both sides of the story to figure out which one was telling the truth. A number of other shinobi were also targeted. For example, Kakashi. Because the man was the blonde's father's student, Naruto had beaten him up a lot before the evaluation spar. The jerk didn't teach him anything when he was on a team or watch out for him as a child. Instead, he focused on Sasuke the whole time. When it comes to Sasuke, the elders were trying to get the Uchiha's punishment changed from jail time to house arrest. No, Tsunade said they should have forgiven Itachi or even Orochimaru if he were still alive for all the bad things they had done in the past. Different people at the dead Sanin's many bases gave information that showed the Uchiha had tested his skills against the many prisoners Orochimaru had gathered. Sasuke had hurt, killed, maimed, and tortured many people, either to train himself or to satisfy his many dark cravings. Why should you let this Uchiha off the hook? Because of his family tree? People made it sound like it was really special, but all you had to do was use flashbombs or other things that hurt people's eyes. Tsunade knew that some shinobi were 10 times stronger than the Uchiha when they were that age and didn't have any dojutsu in their blood. The elders were said to be going to use a law they often used to get their way and ignore her opinion on the matter. That's what they did. They only found the 2 Anbu, secretly Root Anbu, guarding the cell dead when they went to free Sasuke. They had been killed very badly, and the Uchiha was found dead in his cell. Both of the boy's eyes were ripped out of their sockets, an arm and a leg were missing, and his intestines were piled up on the floor. When they were looked at more closely, they saw blood pooling between his legs, which had nothing to do with the last injury. The last wound showed that the Uchiha had been castrated so that no one could have his children and the Uchiha clan could start over. As you might expect, they blamed Naruto. When he was brought up in front of the Hokage, the elders, and the clan heads, he freely admitted to doing that. When it first happened, Danzo wanted Naruto to be jailed for what he did, calling it treason and calling him an enemy of the village. Naruto didn't know until the blonde's trap was set because he wanted the Warhawk to make a show of this during the trial. Naruto had already called Danzo out for not being patriotic because he backed Orochimaru, before the Sannin turned bad and hired the snake to work for Root. Naturally, Danzo denied the accusations made against him. He called Naruto a weapon speaking out of turn, and a disobedient tool unfit to proudly serve Konoha. He also said there was no proof that the Jinchuriki was telling the truth. Showing what Sai had on him, the letter from Danzo to Orochimaru that listed the names of the different Anbu who were loyal to Tsunade said something different. This old war hawk didn't figure out how his subordinate really died until he saw the information he gave to Sai and turned around to look at Naruto. Naruto also sent the Toads to sneak into Danzo's base under Konoha and make copies of the files there. They then put the copies on Tsunade's desk. The blonde Jinchuriki thought it was funny to see Danzo's normally emotionless face show fear and anger at having people see his plans who he didn't want to see them. In a surprise move, Naruto used a small wind jutsu to cut off the bandages around the Warhawk's face, revealing the Sharingan eye that was hidden there. Danzo couldn't even move to run away or call Root for help before Naruto wrapped his chakra chains around him and squished him so hard that he screamed in pain. Before a tag that would have blocked his chakra could be put on him, Danzo was already on his knees and staring up at Naruto. The boy put the seal right on his forehead. It was so strong that it turned Danzo's Sharingan eye into a normal black orb, which was more proof that it came from a Uchiha. Even worse for the Warhawk, his hidden arm was now visible. The arm looked like it was rotting because chakra wasn't flowing to it, and the Sharingan eyes were crying bloody tears. Of course, Danzo stayed defiant even after being told what he did was wrong. He told Konoha that everything he did was for him. How he loved his country. When things got tough, they did what no one else had the guts or strength to do. This is how he should have been Hokage. The first time Hiruzen cheated him by using Tobirama, and again later when Minato became Hokage instead of Orochimaru. Danzo thought that the Sannin, who used to be in his Root program, would give him more power as the true leader working in the background to make his version of Konoha come true. How, after the fourth's death, Hiruzen became Hokage again, and then Tsunade did the same after the Sandame's death to even more quickly stop his plans. When it came to the Uchiha clan, Danzo admitted that he had a hand in what happened and had lied to them about staying back when the Kyuubi come. He wanted everyone in Konoha to think they were to blame for something. They sowed the seeds of mistrust and anger, knowing that the village would eventually turn against them. To make things so bad for the clan that they'd want to rebel, and then use their eyes to begin the process of putting them down. How he used Orochimaru's desire to join bloodlines to get him to do it with Senju and Uchiha together so that he could one day control all 9 Biju as well as the Kyuubi. What he planned to do was bring all 9 back to Konoha and rule like a god while also finding a way to use the Biju's chakra to live forever and become the only true immortal. Naruto had put a special matrix in the Fuinjutsu that was used to seal Danzo's chakra to make his brain tell the truth whenever he was questioned. This is why he told the truth so freely. It also helped turn on the aggressive part of the brain, so when the person with the seal answered, they would sound angry, frustrated, and spiteful, like they had been lied to. Of course, that's how Naruto wanted Danzo to be shown before he cut off the old man's head. There was no more chakra for the man to try sending into the system to kill everyone, so even the seal on Danzo's chest was turned off. As soon as Danzo was out of the way, Tsunade arrested the other 2 elders, even though they were warning him not to. Until Naruto told them they could do one of 2 things. One being that they were locked up in their own homes until they died. If he killed them both here in the office, their sins would be made public, and they and Danzo would be shamed forever. They quietly chose the first choice, but they still glared at him for being mean to them. It was like he was to blame for all the bad things they had done. How did Naruto react to their stare? They were told to fuck off and out of his sight before he did to them what he did to their favorite Uchiha. In due course, he would go see them and kill their wrinkled old behinds. They could still try to get the root Nin Danzo has hidden to work together to take down Tsunade at the last minute. That wasn't what anyone wanted. Now that Konoha's internal threat has been dealt with, Tsunade could turn her attention back to the Akatsuki. Those two people had left the group at that point. The Hokage was sure that Itachi would return to Konoha to find out what happened to his little brother now that word of Sasuke's death had spread. She wasn't let down either. Itachi went back to Konoha to kill Naruto because he knew that only the Uzumaki would go that far to hurt and kill Sasuke. It made the man very angry when he got back to the village after Zetsu told everyone what had happened to the younger Uchiha. When the Sannin heard that Itachi was going to Konoha to kill the Jinchuriki, he knew he was going against Pain, Tobi, Madara, and even Jiraiya. Their words were not heard by Uchiha Itachi. He wanted to kill. Blood of Uzumaki. Blood from Naruto. The Uchiha didn't realize how small he was compared to Naruto until he was in battle with him. Naruto was all set to fight him. The blonde looked like she knew the Uchiha would return to Konoha to kill the person who killed his little brother and get answers. It was a strange turn of events because Sasuke wanted to kill Itachi to get back at the clan. You came to get back at Sasuke. All things considered, that's funny. It's even better that you said, vengeance. I want to kill you in the same way you killed my little brother. Please tell me why. What made you kill Sasuke? Why cut him up? Why did he break the bond you had with him so badly that killing him was the only way to stop the pain? Naruto starts to laugh at Itachi. You really think that the fact that he broke our so-called bond with each other injured me in any way? I didn't feel that much pain. The only time Sasuke hurt me was when he tried to kill me 3 times in the Valley of the End when we were fighting to get to Orochimaru all those years ago. Your brother was a jerk. One that you helped make by fucking over his mind. 2 times. Hikaru, you didn't have to kill him. He might have been sent to jail. If possible, fixed up from the ground up. Orochimaru spent 3 years training your little brother to be his next host. Do you really think that if he killed you, Sasuke would stop being angry and seeking revenge on you? What makes you think that he would stop hating and hurting other people just because you were dead? Because of you, Sasuke only knew hatred as a reason to live. Without you, Sasuke would have been a will. That's not something you know. I do, because he told me so. Before I killed him. You tell lies. He was going to be freed from prison by Danzo and the elders, which is against the Hokage's orders. His guards were Danzo's root nin, and they told him what Danzo told them. He was going to be under house arrest, and Anbu was supposed to be watching him, but we both know that it would be the root Anbu and not the ones who are loyal to the Hokage. That doesn't explain why you killed Sasuke and why he said he killed people after I was dead. But it does. I easily killed the root Anbu and saw Sasuke in his cell with chakra-suppressing cuffs on. He had a knowing grin on his face, as if everything I had done would not matter at all. You should have heard him talking in his usual arrogant way about how he was going to get out, train, and make the village hate me for beating his behind so badly before bringing him back to Konoha and how he was their FC king. Thank you. What about the castration? His words made it clear that your little brother wants to rape any woman who even slightly interests him. Luckily, he didn't because there wasn't a woman in Sound or the nearby areas that he had been interested in the last 3 years. In fact, I wouldn't have castrated him if he hadn't said, why would I care if a woman is willing or not? Any woman should be thankful that I fucked her naked and got the seed of a Uchiha elite. I will take any woman I want, even if she doesn't want to be with me. I can get any woman pregnant and use my Sharingan to give her a false command to keep the child and raise it. Also, women are only useful for making strong men like me who will carry on their legacy. Since they have no other reason to live, it's not illegal for me to do that to them. You can guess what I did to make sure there would be no children born from his line. That wasn't something my brother said, and he wouldn't say that he did or wanted to do it. I have it on tape and on camera. The Hokage had a hidden camera put in his cell before he was put in it. Only she, Shizune, and I knew about it. Not even Danzo or the elders. She thought Danzo might play a joke on Sasuke and wanted proof of his actions in recruiting the Uchiha into Root so she could deal with him in her own way. I wasn't going to stand by and let those two play politics and risk letting the issue get bigger. People would hate the Uchiha clan forever if they knew the truth, even if Danzo was the one who started the hatred in the first place. I don't care about your clan or how you feel or what you think. You turned your brother into a monster and emo hate-filled jerka so he could kill you one day. And all of this was done to redeem the Uchiha clan, even though it was doomed from the start. Now that Sasuke is dead, your so-called chance for the clan to be saved is gone. Thank you, not at all. I'm not going to give up my life for your brother and fix your mistakes. You wanted him to save your clan? You shouldn't have fucked with his head twice. You turned him into a rabid dog. Don't be surprised when someone tries to put him down and succeeds. You will suffer for killing my little brother and not living up to your purpose. The Sandaime saw you as the village's sacrifice to save us from destruction, and you were meant to be used in this way over and over again. Refusing to accept this truth is a betrayal of his trust in you, of this village, and of my brother. I will not stand for it. Says the person who killed almost all of his family. The Sandaime can take his legacy and go fuck himself. The man I looked up to as a child was always telling lies to hide his mistakes, his shame, and the fact that he was too nice to the wrong people. He was nice to Danzo, Orochimaru, your clan, and Sasuke. You call what I did a betrayal? What about what you did? You didn't have to kill all of the Uchiha, but see. There is silence. We don't seem to have anything else to talk about. Yes, I agree. Goodbye, Itachi. Please tell that jerk you call a brother in hell hello from me. You come first, Jinchuriki. Itachi and Naruto both wanted to kill the other, but Naruto was better at using Kurama's chakra mixed with senjutsu than Itachi, even with all of his training, skill, and power with his Sharingan eyes. While they were talking, Naruto was preparing for the fight by absorbing it into his body. And boy did they fight. When it was over, the training field looked like a war zone. The trees were either down or burned, and there were ninja weapons all over the ground in craters. Itachi, or what was left of him, was lying in the biggest crater on the ground. The Uchiha had tried to use Susanoo against Naruto, but the Jinchuriki used his Rasen Shuriken, which was his secret weapon, to destroy any defense Itachi could come up with. When Naruto walked over to the Uchiha's body, he saw that the man was barely alive. All of his limbs were gone, his eyes were destroyed, and most of his internal organs were damaged. The fact that the Uchiha was still alive long enough to have one last talk with Naruto before he died was a miracle. You can't win, Naruto. Your real enemy, the Akatsuki, is stronger than I am. My death will only delay the final battle. The Akatsuki made this plan for the 9 Biju before you were born, when Jiraiya was still at his best. How much does Jiraiya know about the Akatsuki? Has he kept things from me, Tsunade, or even the Toads? He does know some things about the organization that not even the Hokage does. Jiraiya kept some things from even the Sandaime. The Toads would be very angry if they knew how much he really had to do with some of the events that led up to the Akatsuki's birth. Why? Why should I care? The leader of the Akatsuki, Pain, and his partner, Konan, used to be students of Jiraiya. He found them as orphans near Aim, along with a third boy named Yahiko. He taught them how to survive in their harsh environment and saw that one of them had the eyes of the sage, the Rinnegan. Why didn't he bring them back to Konoha if that's true? As your godfather, why didn't Jiraiya raise you? Okay, I see your point. What came next? Truly, I don't know. All I know is that one of them died, and Madara quickly took over the organization to make it less honest. He told Pain that he wanted to capture all 9 Biju and use their combined power to stop wars and make the world peaceful, but that was just a lie. Madara has other plans that don't involve wars and peace. Madara is no longer alive because he is too old. The man who says he is him says that's not true. How does he look? Does he have the Sharingan? Does he wear Madara's armor? He calls himself Toby in front of the group and wears a spiral mask over his Akatsuki robes. He also acts like he doesn't know who he is, so no one else in the group knows he is Madara. But to answer your last question, yes, he does have the Sharingan and can turn it off. Only a Uchiha can do that, so it's clear that the man is from my clan. That's more proof that he's not Madara. The real Madara would never act like that in public. The real Madara would never hide behind a mask and act like a fool. His pride would not let him. It's clear that he's a Uchiha, but not the most famous one. He calls himself Madara, though, and it was he who attacked the night you were born and ripped the Kyuubi from your mother's body to control it. In the past, only someone like Madara could have done that. I knew that because the fox showed me his own memories of that night when my parents died. It doesn't matter, though. I know enough about the jerk to make a good defense against his time-space manipulation and transparency trick. When the time comes, I'll destroy the Akatsuki and anyone who supports them. You try to swim against the tide, but you will drown. Sure, but I'm not afraid to send out waves that will bring about change before I do. It only took one hit from a kunai to kill Uchiha Itachi. Naruto came back to find Tsunade there with a small army of Anbu, the clan heads, Junin, and Jiraiya. Jiraiya was glaring at the Jinchuriki, which didn't surprise Naruto. The blonde Uzumaki had shown he was strong and killed Jiraiya's only spy that high up in the Akatsuki organization. He never cared about Naruto's health or the fact that Itachi was no longer working for him as a spy when he went back to Konoha to get paid back. Even though Jiraiya said Naruto didn't do anything wrong, Tsunade was also angry. Surprisingly, though, her anger wasn't at Naruto for killing Itachi. It was at Jiraiya for not telling her that Itachi was a spy in the first place. She also thought that Jiraiya should have told her the truth about the Uchiha clan planning a coup and Itachi doing it to spy on the Akatsuki after she became Hokage. Jiraiya didn't agree, saying that if he told her where some of his most important spies were, it would make him less useful as a spy master. He also said that it would be best if she didn't know who his spies were in different parts of the world. He used the words plausible deniability to explain this, but Tsunade didn't believe him because Jiraiya was now running Konoha's spy network in a crappy way. Since Jiraiya had been out of the village for 12 years to give Konoha information, which he then gave to the Sandaime, Tsunade had learned that the informants were either not coming in on time or giving him vague information. Some had threatened to quit unless they were paid more and given more power over the information they held. Others had said they would go to Konoha's enemies and give them the information they held in exchange for money. If those spies weren't in such important positions and needed, Tsunade would get rid of them and replace them with people who were willing to take over. But she knew it was hard to replace old spies with new ones, and she also knew that Jiraiya would never let those female spies stay alive because he knew they would find out who was blackmailing whom. If these women were allowed to stay, someone who used to be on her team and was a pervert left a big stink on Konoha that no one could get rid of, no matter how hard they tried. Even worse, Jiraiya owed money outside of the village but it wasn't recorded and he had conveniently forgotten about it. Until they came and bit him. One problem was with the Nadeshiko village, which was waiting for Jiraiya to keep a promise he made to the former leader of the village many years ago. Takiwa, a kunoichi from that village, came to Konoha with Shizuka after hearing that Naruto had killed so many S-rank ninjas and that he was Jiraiya's student. Tsunade had agreed for a short time that the boy was Jiraiya's student, but they had a fight over the boy. After hearing what Jiraiya had said, Tsunade wanted to break her former teammate's bones even more, starting with the tiny one between his legs because that's where his brain seemed to go 98% of the time. As for Jiraiya, the pervert had conveniently disappeared when he heard that two kunoichi from Nadeshiko had come to Konoha. You fucking coward. Naruto agreed to the challenge, but only if he could get out of the marriage plan. If he was going to honor Jiraiya's plan, his potential future wife would have to be strong enough to make him sweat in order to earn the right to be his wife. If she wasn't strong enough to last against him in a long fight, how could she be a good wife for him to marry? If she wasn't impressed, the planned marriage would not happen. Surprisingly, Takiwa agreed with Shizuka. She laughed at Naruto for being able to break their village's rules and make Naruto the winner. Shizuka hated the rules that said she had to fight the man who would become her husband if he beat her. The man she loved was dead, so Shizuka had no choice but to close her heart. Even though Naruto was hurt, Shizuka still wanted this mission to end and let him win by default. If it weren't for her kunoichi pride and the pride of her village, Naruto had made it clear that the woman could only win this one way or another. For that reason, they fought. Tsunade, Takiwa, and a few interested Konoha shinobi were there to see it. Someone called Kokuya, a bothersome puppeteer who wanted Shizuka for himself and to rule Nadeshiko like a king, tried to get in the way of the fight. He was quickly put down when Shizuka destroyed his puppet, and he was arrested by the Hokage for breaking into the village without permission. Naruto and Shizuka continued to fight, with Shizuka using all of her strength to hit Naruto. But in the end, the kunoichi failed to even hurt Naruto. Shizuka lost, but she also won the freedom to live her life without being married to someone she didn't love. It's not that she thought Naruto was ugly. In fact, she thought he was very good looking, and getting to know him after their fight almost made her regret not marrying the young shinobi. She didn't understand why he wasn't ranked higher when he told her he was a Jinchuriki. Only then did she realize his rank was Genin, while everyone else was Chunin or higher. She had heard that Jinchuriki were mostly hated, used as weapons of war, and had some connection to the village cage. She had heard that they were violent and bloodthirsty, and that the one in Kiri became Mizukage and started a civil war with the other villages. Naruto, on the other hand, showed her that not all Jinchuriki were out to kill everyone in their way. In fact, Naruto explained why Gaara was acting the way he was in the first place. It wasn't the kid's fault. It was his father's. He wasn't even brave enough to think about getting the broken seal fixed so Gaara could sleep at night. Having insomnia and a biju in your head talking about killing people is not fun. When the time came to leave, Shizuka said goodbye to Naruto and even kissed him on the cheek to thank him for getting her out of that mess. Naruto smiled at her, which was a rare thing for him to do, but he did it for those who deserved it. He almost missed the blush on Shizuka's face as she left the village and thought that marrying the woman might not be such a bad idea after all. He had to bring his clan back to life, and Naruto had a strong feeling that his mother was on the other line, demanding, "Give me grandchildren right now." "You're such a pervert, Naruto," Sakura said, crossing her arms and making a mean face. "Wow, really? I'm a pervert because she kissed me on the cheek." "You wouldn't say that if Sasuke kissed you on the cheek," Naruto replied, making Sakura's frown even worse. "She should have castrated you," Sakura said after seeing what happened. "What for? Getting the win? Are you crazy?" Naruto asked with a frown. "That's and for just being the super pervert student," Sakura said angrily. Naruto laughed at her, knowing that Sasuke was the reason she was acting that way. She would never forgive him for killing Sasuke and cutting off his sex if she knew the truth. It's likely that the kunoichi in front of him would think that the Uchiha's possible children deserved a chance to make things right. "I wasn't his student. Not for the last year and a half. And the first year and a half, he did absolutely nothing except peep on women and drink himself stupid at bars. With my own money no less after stealing it. Not much for a training trip between master and student, is it?" Naruto replied while Sakura scoffed. Saying, "Or maybe you were just a poor student looking for an excuse not to do any of the heavy lifting needed to get stronger," Sakura made fun of the kunoichi. This got her a blast of killing intent and made the kunoichi start to sweat. Says the Uchiha fangirl who couldn't do anything to literally save her life when she was younger and we were on missions. It took UAC turned a ranked mission, an invasion by 2 shinobi villages, and 3 years with the new Hokage to snap you out of it. Of course, judging from the negative feelings coming off of you right now, I take it you still hate the fact I didn't treat our former teammate with kid gloves this time around, said Naruto without mentioning Sasuke was now gone through his hands. Sakura knew that the Uchiha was still locked up in a cell, and that he would be there for a very long time because he was a traitor. The girl on his team with pink hair probably thought that one day she could try to persuade the Hokage to help bring Sasuke back into the fold. Why ruin her hopes and dreams about the jerk? He could ask Tsunade to do that. Sakura said, he was our friend Naruto. Friends don't do that to each other, but Naruto's glare and desire to kill only got stronger. Oh? And what about what he did to me? You say friends don't hurt friends? Well, our so-called friend tried and succeeded in hurting me. Even worse, he tried to kill me. As far as I am concerned here, Sakura, the Teme was not a friend. He was not a teammate. He was a power-hungry asshole and deserved the beating I gave him, if not more, said Naruto before he left. Sakura asked Naruto as he stopped and looked back, I'm sure Sasuke-kun feels bad about what he did. Can't you feel any bad for him? Naruto said to Sakura, my only regret is that I didn't do worse when we fought for that short moment. His words were cut off by a swirl of leaves. She was shocked by what he said. After what happened, Tsunade asked Jiraiya more questions about the Akatsuki and who this leader Itachi talked about before he died. By Uchiha's last words, it was clear that her old teammate knew more than he was telling or was going to say for some reason. Without a doubt, Jiraiya was not willing to talk about the Akatsuki and refused to answer. At the very least at first. It was crazy how breaking a few ribs, a leg, 3 fingers on each hand, and the threat of being castrated could make someone loosen their tongue. So, Jiraiya reluctantly told them that the Akatsuki leader was also a former student who they didn't tell anyone about. Jiraiya said that one was thought to be dead a long time ago. Although the boy had the legendary Rinnegan eyes on him, he didn't think this one was very important. What Jiraiya did was very wrong, and it was even worse when the Sannin accidentally said the boy's last name was Uzumaki. This person might be related to Kushina in some way, or they could be a cousin from the Uzumaki clan. It looked like the boy, whose name was Nagato, had given up his old name and started calling himself Pain. He also said that he had known for a while who Pain really was and that he wanted to fix his mistake of letting Pain get too strong by going to aim. The Tsunade forbade it. Naruto knew that if Jiraiya went, he would not be going by himself or on some mission to redeem himself in his eyes. Jiraiya would do something like that for 2 main reasons, which she knew. 1. So they wouldn't have to fight, which she knew Naruto really wanted. It was also important for him to make sure that his good actions had a big effect on Naruto's mind so that the boy would follow Jiraiya's beliefs. Not his. Taking over Naruto's free will and trying to control it from beyond the grave through his memorable actions of giving up his life for the greater good. It was too much for Naruto. That's what they told Jiraiya. He wouldn't let Jiraiya use Pain as an excuse to get out of their fight. Don't let the man kill himself in the hopes that his death will have some kind of effect from beyond the grave. Because of this, Jiraiya became angry and replied that he didn't care what Naruto wanted and never did. He was going to make sure the prophecy came true and that his dreams came true more than anyone else's. Before Naruto or Tsunade could try to do anything else, Jiraiya reversed his spell and went back to the Toad's home to heal. Tsunade yelled and cursed at Jiraiya for being a fool and trying to do something that would hurt those who had to clean up after him for a long time. Not Naruto, though. He chose to stay calm, just like the Toads taught him when he trained with them. Pay attention, little tadpole. You can die if you rush into things. This is clear from the fact that you have done it before. Consider what is going on and who is a part of it. Think about what they might do and act in that way. You don't need a Sharingan-level dojutsu to be able to guess every move your opponent will make. Only the most important ones. That's something your mind can do if it knows what to look for in a person and what they believe. Those were the wise words his father had taught him while training Naruto. He wanted the boy to learn to look before jumping. You could wait and think about what was going on around you before you jumped. It was how the Toads did things, but you should never sit still for too long. Someone Jiraiya had never been able to teach himself, and he often took advantage of to know when to act or not act on things he thought were important. When Naruto said, "I know where he is going once he is healed," Tsunade scowled because she also knew where Jiraiya was going. Aim. I'll get an Anbu squad together along with some Junin. They'll drag him back before he can get halfway there, said Tsunade with rage. There's no point. He'll be there before the group can be sent out. Just send me, Naruto told Tsunade, who looked shocked. Absolutely not. First off, you are still ranked a genin. Second, I would be giving the Akatsuki exactly what they want. Even if they didn't extract your Biju right away, it does not mean they will make your time there as a prisoner any less pleasant. Some of them are pure sadist. Protested Tsunade while Naruto grumbled. First, they won't get me. You don't train as hard as I do, only to get captured. Second, you can promote me easily enough. Not to mention rank doesn't count for shit in the real world. And third, if I can kill Itachi, Orochimaru, Kabuto, Sasori of the Red Sands, and Deidara the Mad Bomber of Iwa, I can handle the others, said Naruto with Tsunade now staring at him. Even if what you say is true, I would be stupid to send you to aim by yourself, Tsunade said, making Naruto frown. Tsunade looked like she had been hit by Naruto when he said, perhaps, but it depends on the backup. Are you saying that the ninja I thought would betray you would do that? Tsunade asked as she saw Naruto's glare grow stronger. In a heartbeat. All those years growing up and I was getting beaten, they watched. Some even went as far as to join in. They knew who my father was. They knew enough about Fuinjutsu to know the difference between prison and prisoner. Did they care? No. Why would they? Who was going to remind them of their oaths to the fourth? Who was going to enforce it? The Sandaime? He gave the order. Force the Kyuubi Jinchuriki into submission. Make sure he is nothing like his mother. Like his father. Make him weak. Reliant on me. Reliant on those I tell him to be reliant on. You haven't rotated out the Anbu when becoming Hokage, and I can easily sense those in your office looking at me with hatred. You assign any of them to provide support, they'd sooner sell me out to the Akatsuki, and make up any story they wanted, said Naruto, and Tsunade sighed her words were true. Naruto asked Tsunade, what do you have in mind? And then shrugged. As I said, you just have to send me. We both know it will take some time for Jiraiya to heal from the beating you just gave him. The Toads are more loyal to me over him. The moment he pops out of their realm, they will tell me. Once that happens I'll head to aim and stop the fool from doing something stupid, said Naruto as Tsunade groaned. Naruto looked a little surprised when Tsunade told him, fine. Based on your actions since coming back in your level of power, if not your strength, I'm promoting you straight to Junin. Tsunade shrugged because she knew Naruto was surprised. Are you sure you can do that? Won't the rest of the shinobi forces who hate my guts go throw a fit? Go on and on about procedure and exams and all that crap. Don't I have to go through the ranks of promotion one at a time instead of skipping them? Naruto asked. He thought she would just promote him to Chunin right away, and then to Junin in the far future. I'm the Hokage. I can promote and demote whoever I like to any rank I like if they are qualified enough. Honestly, those exams are all meant to draw clients to our village on a large scale, and to get the potential Junin for their jobs. I can easily do that just as much after word gets out on how many S-ranked shinobi you recently killed, Tsunade smiled at Naruto. Naruto said with a smirk, well. Better late than never. After some time. The Akatsuki were, in fact, unhappy. The organization took a huge hit when they lost Itachi, Sasori, and Deidara. They had to make things right. Besides that, they needed to hire more people and make more money. In other words, they had to go out and collect high-paying bounties from different targets. So, the Akatsuki, Zombie Brothers, broke into the Fire Temple to find their target, since they knew the money would be very helpful to the group. Also, the Akatsuki would become even more infamous if it was known that only 2 of them had destroyed the Fire Temple to get the bounty on one person. The monks fought back, but they only fell and died a bloody death at their hands. They quickly ran into Konoha Shinobi in the form of Junin Sarutobi Asuma and fought him. As a result of their 2-on-1 attack, Asuma almost died. Pretty close. Well, if it isn't the undead sex bags of the world, how is it hanging? Or do you undead jerks not even have dicks? Naruto teased the two Akatsuki members from behind them to get their attention. Hidan yelled angrily, "I'm going to enjoy giving you up to Jashin-sama." Naruto teased Hidan, "Get out of that circle and do it yourself. Or do you need to ask your Jashin-sama to do it for you, like a pussy?" Hidan was furious, and Kakuzu looked at the blonde with narrowed eyes and could feel how strong the boy was. "He's not weak like the first reports said 3 years ago." Because he was weak, Itachi said he couldn't control the Kyuubi's chakra inside him. Jiraiya was the only reason we weren't able to grab him. However, if reports are true, the Jinchuriki has killed a lot of S-ranked missing nin since Naruto returned. Kakuzu thought this because he knew that Naruto's recent kills of high-value targets had made the Akatsuki's treasurer very angry. Kakuzu didn't rush at Naruto for only 2 reasons. For starters, he wasn't a jerk like Hidan. 2. He could easily feel Naruto's power, which made him think of the first Hokage and how he tried to kill him all those years ago. Because of what he did wrong with the dead Shoden, Kakuzu knew that going all out on Naruto was a bad idea. Asuma yelled, "Damn it, kid. Run." While Naruto stared at him in a way that surprised everyone. "Am I talking to you, Sarutobi-san?" "No?" "Good. Help is on the way, so stay still and try not to bleed to death," Naruto asked, then turned his attention back to the 2 Akatsuki people. As Kakuzu got ready for a fight, he said, "A little harsh on your fellow Junin, I see. I was abused by his father when I was a child, and that idiot shot me once when he was drunk and coming out of a bar when I was 6 years old," Naruto said. Asuma winced at the memory, even though he wasn't sober, because he did remember that moment. He was drunk and mad at his old man at the time. Being a Kokuge has caused a rift between the father and son. Asuma saw Uzumaki Naruto, 6 years old, digging through a trash can for food when he came around a corner near an alley. When young Hiruzen saw the spoiled brat his father had been interested in for a long time while he was drunk, he scowled. Why didn't his dad pay him more attention? His kid? Instead, Hiruzen's father pays attention to Naruto. For some reason Hiruzen wouldn't say, and doesn't care about what his own son wants. When Asuma attacked a surprised Uzumaki Naruto, her eyes were filled with red because she was drunk and angry at the same time. The boy was able to block the first few punches, but not the rest. Soon, Naruto was pinned to a wall in an alley with a kunai on his shoulder. After that, the drunk shinobi beat the boy up and used the trench knives he had on hand to cut him up pretty badly. The poor blonde was very close to dying. And the now Konoha Junin never came forward to say he was sorry or tell Naruto he felt bad about it. He didn't speak about it, like it never happened. Stowed away in secret, and people who knew about it pretended it never happened. Yes, Naruto did know. Naruto could clearly remember the faces of people who had hurt him, and Asuma was no different. The blonde Jinchuriki finally caught the jerk, but it took longer than planned because the Sarutobi were away on a long mission. It was only right that Junin, who smoked cigarettes, was almost killed by the many life-threatening wounds Hidan gave him. His team was going to be here soon anyway. Since Ino had trained as a medic nin, it wouldn't be hard for her to heal her old sensei. With a grin, Hidan said, "Ha. The little shit is hated in his village just like the others. At least I have a shinobi village. Not like you, Jashin priest. I heard that your shinobi village lost its balls to be one, and that's why you went on a rampage. Must have hurt to know that your village didn't have what it takes. Did you cry? Whine like a bitch? Maybe even pee yourself like a baby while crying like one?" Niseko asked with a smile, while Hidan looked like he was about to explode with anger. Before he could, a shadow clone of Naruto kicked Hidan in the back of the head from behind. It was an outside force that threw him out of the circle he made to attack Asuma. This ended the ritual. Hidan yelled, "You fucker." While Kakuzu frowned. "Calm down, Hidan. He's trying to make you angry on purpose so you mess up," Kakuzu told Hidan as he growled. "It's not hard to do. All you have to do is insult his cocky god, and the jerk goes on a long rant," Naruto teased Hidan while he was swearing. I'm going to gut your fucking ass. Hidan yelled as a shadow clone of Naruto appeared behind the priest and cut off his head with a kunai covered in wind. Interestingly, the man's head kept talking and swearing until Naruto's shadow clone punched it and it went to another head that had a box with sealing tags on it. The shadow clone and the box disappeared in a puff of smoke before Kakuzu could do anything. Kakuzu was interested and asked, "What did you do?" "My shadow clone reversed summoned to the Toad Clan's mountain. They are going to use their sage arts to cleanse Hidan and cut him off from Jashin." "Are you upset?" Naruto asked Kakuzu, who just shrugged. "Be honest?" "No. While we were working together, Hidan would always swear, yell, and be a pain. He kept talking about his religion and how great it was compared to everything else. I really don't understand why the Akatsuki kept him. A person like Hidan shouldn't be a part of the world Pain wants to make," Kakuzu replied as Naruto stood there and watched him. Naruto said, "That's why you didn't do anything to help him." Kakuzu just shrugged again. "If I were him, he would have done the same thing to me. The only reason we were paired together is so that we can't kill each other. Hidan had partners in the past who died at his hands just to make his god happy. My 5 hearts stopped that," Kakuzu said, and Naruto's grin grew. "Until now," Naruto said, and then the ground shook. This made Kakuzu's eyes widen when the ground erupted and a dozen chakra chains wrapped around him, along with his different hearts. He tried to get away, but it wasn't possible, and he soon felt the chakra chains stab his hearts. "You were waiting so those chains could go through the ground and reach me." That was Kakuzu's last word as the chakra chain around his heart squished it. "Don't bother. My name is Uzumaki. Why can't I do this if my mom can?" Naruto asked before telling the chain to squeeze hard on the last heart it was holding until it blew up. "And this killed Taki's missing nin. Thank you, Gaki. You've saved my life." "I'd be done if you weren't here," Asuma said, and Naruto just walked over to him and punched the badly hurt man in the face, which knocked out the Junin. Naruto whispered, "Shut up," and then he left the bleeding man to cover Kakuzu's body. Just then, the second generation Ino Shikacho showed up. "Whoa. What did this happen?" asked Ino as she ran to help Asuma. "The Akatsuki. They killed a shinobi and Guardian 12 who had become a fire monk. Someone I know well. When they were about to leave the fire temple, I caught them." A weak Asuma said, "They were too much for me," while Ino worked to heal him. "But why not for Naruto?" "Hi," Shikamaru asked with interest. "He didn't even break a sweat," Asuma said, deciding not to tell anyone that the blonde boy had punched him in the face or that they had fought years ago. "Really then? What did your teacher Jiraiya teach you? What made you so strong?" Choji asked Naruto, who had just finished the seal on Kakuzu's body and heart. "He didn't teach me anything. That jerk did nothing but drink in bars, peep on women at hot springs, and sleep with whores who had more STDs than everyone else in Konoha placed together. He took my money and left me alone there while dumb scrolls were lying on my lap. I had no way of understanding what they said. How did I get so strong?" Naruto said coldly, "I trained with the real Toad summons and learned more from them than I did from the perverted asshole." He then looked at Asuma, who looked a little nervous. "What is Naruto? Was that a look between the blonde and his old sensei?" Shikamaru asked with interest. I told Shikamaru, "Don't worry about it. Just thinking back to a time when things were a lot like they are now, but with different people in different roles. Go there and talk to Sarutobi. He knows everything about it. After that, please come see me." Naruto told them, "The story your former sensei tells you may have quite a few truths." Retracted on his end in order to hide his shame. He then left them to look at Asuma, who was looking more and more nervous. "Asuma Tetsuya?" Asuma closed his eyes and made a sign, "What do you think?" asked Ino. "The story is hard to follow. Soon, I'll tell you. Please. Let me get better." Asuma looked up at the sky and said, I need to gather my thoughts on some things. Ino continued to heal him. Morning or later. This is not acceptable. Just in the past few months, we've lost almost half of our members. The rings that were taken from the bodies have been destroyed except for the one that was on Hedon's headless body, but that's just a guess at this point. Pain yelled as things went badly for them while Conan watched from afar. We need to get more people to join. Find a way to make copies of the rings that were destroyed, Conan said. Toby shook his head. Those rings were unique. We still can't make any more. Not until I do a lot of research and figure out how to make more money. It might take a long time. Years and years. You don't have time. We don't have time for that, Toby said in a very serious voice. Conan asked, where is Kisame? Since he wasn't here. He went out by himself to catch Iwa's 2 Jinchuriki. I was going to bring Zetsu or even Toby with him, but the man said no. It was said that facing 2 Jinchuriki might be fun for him. Pain spoke up, and Conan narrowed her eyes. Conan asked, and you let him go? Pain replied, yes. There was no reason to say no to him. Also, I'm sure that the man's sword would have hit either Toby or Zetsu if we had sent them with him. No one in our group should be so strong that they decide to attack those who stay like a wild animal. I trust Kisame to control his bloodlust and let us know as soon as the job is done, Pain said, knowing that it would be better to let Kisame loose on their enemies than to try to stop him. He was going to let the monster go. The people who were after Kisame would eventually find and kill him, but Pain knew that the monster of Kiri would kill many of them first. Because of this, Pain knew that the number of his enemies from the 5 shinobi villages would go down a lot. What a shame. While Jiraiya was still hidden, he spoke up with a serious face. You were going to need him, he said. Hello, teacher. It's been a while, Pain said, as Zetsu and Toby decided it was time to go back into the shadows. Not enough time. You look different now than the last time we met. At least Conan turned out to be just as beautiful as I thought, Jiraiya told the woman with a small smile. Jiraiya's smile went away as Pain said, if you're done having crazy thoughts about Conan, I think it's time you explained why you're here. To fix some wrongs I did in the past. Specifically with you, Jiraiya replied, while Pain just stared at him. You've known about what we've been doing for a while. Still, you're getting in the way now more than ever? Why? Asked Conan a question while Pain watched Jiraiya move. Jiraiya said, personal reasons, but Pain knew it was both true and false. Part truth's high, Jiraiya-sensei. You didn't like it when we lied to you or told you only part of the truth. Don't tell me you've turned into a liar since the last time we saw you, Pain said as he thought back to how Jiraiya always insisted they tell him the truth and hated it when the 3 orphans of AIM tried to trick him. Let's stop talking. It's time to end this, Jiraiya said, and Pain agreed. I agree. Conan, don't get in the way, Pain told Conan, who nodded and stepped back a few steps. You think too little of me, Nagato. Jiraiya said with a smirk, you always did. Then he called Pa and Ma to his shoulders. Nagato is no more. My name is Pain. For not putting enough value on you, I thought you were someone to look up to when I was your age. Now I'm staring at a man who acts like a fool to hide his flaws and failures while living his whole life in the shadow of everyone else, Pain said as he watched Pa and Ma Toad stay calm despite Jiraiya's frown. And did they put something on Jiraiya's back in secret? After today, I will show why I am the strongest of my 3 teammates, even though I was the last person on my Genin team, Jiraiya said. Pain didn't seem scared. Not much to brag about. When he joined us to protect us after running away from your village, Orochimaru was the weakest of us. He wants to stay young and analyze things more than he wants to improve his skills. For more than 10 years, Tsunade drank and gambled, so it's clear that her skills have gone down. There's nothing you've done better since the Yondaime Hokage was alive. While Jiraiya clenched his teeth, Pain said, you are the strongest of your 3 teammates because their skills have become rusty or neglected while yours have stayed the same. He said, "We'll see," and then he used his flawed version of Senenmoto once he had gathered enough senjutsu during their conversation. "Don't see." Pain replied, "More like. I know." Then his other 6 paths appeared out of nowhere, making Jiraiya a little nervous. Oh crap, Jiraiya thought as he got ready for the fight. It was going to hurt to fight.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.